everybody.
Welcome.
Hello there,
Fantasy
my
Island.
friends. Welcome back, my friends, to the show that
The show
never
that ended
ends.
about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
No, we're in full stride here.
Of course.
Welcome to the greatest show on the internet. And if you don't agree, then you're wrong.
Oh, okay. You got a
Yep.
pumpkin.
I love pumpkins, and I got a skeleton over there.
Ah,
Should I put on my skeleton mask?
yep.
Okay.
And bring those 8 other people up closer so we can talk to them.
Sorry, I'm just trying to. Normal people have just some music playing for 45 minutes while they.
Oh, yeah. There's one guy I watch. He's got like an animated 69 or 70 Charger, a rear view, and it's just going down this road, and he's playing some like synth music. And that's like 25 minutes. Another guy I watch has a cat burying itself in beach sand. And that's about 20 or 30 minutes of that.
And Putt has got this fascination with things with 69 in them. He keeps posting in our private chat.
Yeah.
Look at this. It's 69. 69.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm invisible with my skeleton. 69 is a good number.
I guess.
But
Oh, skeleton is not going to work today.
3 is a magic number.
Somewhere in
is
that
the
you
loneliest
well.
that there is.
There were 3 in the family, but they all got out of the well except for one. Now there's 2.
85.
I don't know. I haven't written it all yet.
Oh, okay. I thought
that band Blind Melon does a really cool version of that 3 as a magic number. 3 is a magic number. Yeah.
Well, they're Xers, so we all grew up with that stuff.
Yep.
3 is the loneliest number that there ever. What was that? Blood, Sweat, and Piss? Or no, that was
yeah, something like that.
Night.
Oh, 4
Yeah,
Dog.
2
Well, they
is
were
the-
4 Dog Night. One of the dogs ran off.
Yep. Do you know what that term 3 Dog Night comes
Yeah.
from, right?
Was it Tibet? The more dogs that sleep with you, the colder the night.
Right.
Actually, Australian Aboriginals, and they normally like to sleep on roads because they're warm.
I didn't know you even got cold there.
Oh yeah, it's got all kinds of different climates.
Well, dogs like to be warm too.
Sometimes.
Yeah, it depends. If it's a husky, it loves to be cold. You can't get them to come inside.
Well, cats
Or just
love it. They'll
talking.
sit there in the sun, and it's like, aren't you hot sitting there with your fur coat
Well, my
on? in the
dogs do
sun?
too. It's like they love when it's extremely cold out or extremely hot out. They're just laying in the middle of the yard, basking
Yep.
in it. I think today is going to be the last nice day for a while.
Mhm.
I looked at the forecast and it looks like it's going to be like a high of 60 for the next couple of weeks.
Hmm.
We only had like 1 week of open window weather. Now it's too cold. Hate that.
Well, it happens.
Tony's got like open window weather every day where he lives, but then you got
Pretty
to smell
much.
people's poo.
Well, that's not that bad. It's just basically all the strange vehicles and things going by. I think Mr. Noisy sold his Charger. I haven't seen that Charger in a long time.
He must have moved next door because they've got like 10 or 12 cars. And, okay, so yesterday the guy's doing donuts in his yard. And I'm like,
Oh, good.
You better not lose control and hit my fucking cars. I'm sorry, I don't mean to say that word. But
Oh gosh, it's okay. Was he doing 69 donuts or what?
Yeah.
yeah, but that's what he was doing.
Okay.
That they paved my road beautifully. It hadn't been paved in ever since they first made it, and it's this beautiful black, smooth. They did a great job, and it was there like one day, and that asshole next door peeled out with his truck and made ruined it all the length of my property.
Uh,
It's like if you're gonna f up the road, do it on your own.
well,
And there was a guy I go to the car show with that witnessed it, and he's just as pissed off.
there's one guy. I mean, that's the one bad thing about living in the South is every guy under 25 has to buy some giant ass truck and tear around town, fucking shit up, and they are in 3 months, they're not going to be able to make the payments and they're going to have to turn that truck back in.
Oh, this is
And
a lowrider Dakota truck. It's
well, okay.
it just I get so sick of it. I mean, he's like doing a some kind of business there, and it's illegal. We're not zoned for businesses. It's
Mhm.
really, and like the neighbors are kind of wanting me to rat on him, and they're like, if there's a petition, I'll sign. You want me to rat on my own neighbor? It's like, yeah,
Well, if they want to,
really
want to
well.
rat, let them rat. They don't put the pressure on you.
Yeah, it's not fair. I
No.
mean, I got to deal with this shit. I'm kind of the impression that things end up working themselves out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, in the seedier and the cruddier the people are, generally they self kind of Darwin themselves.
Yeah.
They do.
But yeah, they were having some fight a few nights ago, a big loud fight, middle of the night, and she's like screaming, "Call 911!" and then everything, and I'm just like, "Shut the fuck f up, you people! I'm not calling you. I don't know."
It's like the backdoor neighbors we used to have. It was like, first of all, the guy had for whatever reason, had his truck alarm set for like every 10 minutes. It would
Yeah.
go off automatically. Now, I couldn't hear it because in my bedroom, I couldn't hear it, which was okay, whatever. It's all through the night. One of our neighbors finally told on him and he had to turn it off. But then after that, they became the fighting house. All the time you'd hear, they finally got kicked out of that place and we got some two old people living back there. So that's nice. They don't fight too much and they don't make
Well, no,
any
but
noise.
if it's old people, it's like, what?
Yeah, that's
What?
exactly right.
What?
What? That's the way Jen is. She can be sitting right next to me and I'll say, "Hey, did you see this? I don't even know." I said, "How's the oil? You need to get the oil changed in the Kia." And she's like, "What?" And she's sitting 2 feet away from me. I said, "You need to get the oil changed in the Kia." She goes, "Okay." I'm like, "What the hell does she always do that?" I don't know. But yeah, it's what?
So guess
I
what
try
I
to.
did today?
What did
What
you
you
did
did
today?
It's none of your business.
All right.
Why'd you bring it up, motherfucker?
I don't know. I was just trying to remember that we're doing a show. I kind of
Oh, I forgot all about that.
Yeah.
Here's your neighbor
yeah.
up here behind me.
So I got an idea for a TV show.
Oh, good.
What's that?
No, my neighbor's a white guy with dreads.
Ah,
So
Worst kind of white guy.
huh? Yeah, you should hear when the radio shakes the whole neighborhood. The stuff.
Yeah,
is
worst
funny.
kind of white guy. Yeah.
Yeah, and the stuff on the. He's coming now.
Oh,
You hear it?
oh, loud
can't
he
hear it.
coming.
Here, listen.
Like a giant cat.
Oh, now I can't hear the radio. It's unusual. Usually it shakes the whole neighborhood.
Sounds like a gigantic cat purring.
Piece of shit. So I do have an idea for a TV show.
well, tell us.
Ah,
Okay, so there's this woman who's suicidal.
Yep.
She decides to go to town and blow herself up. So she got a bomb in her purse. And a purse snatcher swipes her purse and he blows up instead. So she becomes a nun.
Okay.
It's basically about life in a convent. Kind of like the flying nun, only she doesn't fly.
exploding then.
But
Okay.
she's got a fly swatter or something.
Ah,
So each episode is going to going to feature all the Catholic hours, Vespers and all that kind of stuff.
I think it could be interesting.
It could be if you have lots of monsters and spaceships in it. Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it could be like Highway to Heaven, but without Don Adams or whoever was in it.
Yeah.
Michael Landon, if you're watching this from heaven, we'd like to get you on our show sometime if we're ever in heaven. I don't know. Yeah, you're invited. He's invited. I think he's a cool guy. I never knew him, but he seemed like a nice guy. People are like, "Oh, he was an alcoholic." Well, so what? Everybody's got their thing.
Yep.
As long as he didn't go around punching people and stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's what he.
Right.
He doesn't seem like the type that would, even though Little Joe was kind of hot blooded, but
Yeah.
I don't think that.
Yeah. No, Fonzie was a pretty cool guy. He still is to this day.
What?
Who? Who?
Fonzie, Henry
Oh,
Winkler.
screw him.
Where did
You don't
Fonzie?
like him?
Where did that come up from?
We were talking
I
about.
was watching a show about him.
No, we were talking about
Bonanza.
Glumble. What the hell? Gunsmoke. No,
Gunsmoke.
Bonanza.
Bonanza.
Bonanza Smoke.
Oh, Bonanza, Little Joe or whatever.
Little
his
Joe,
name
Big
was.
Joe, and Medium Sized Joe.
There was Hoss, the one everybody forgets, and then there was Michael Landon.
Yeah. Well, it was Pernell Roberts there when he still had hair.
Yeah.
They're making a movie about the making of Happy Days behind the scenes, kind of like they did the SNL opening night movie.
Yeah.
And it's about how Fonzie started taking over the show.
Yeah.
Yep.
And how everything kind of went nutty. And the movie's going to be called Potsy Scheme. I'm going to write the movie.
Potsy Scheme.
Because I was a teenager when that show was on, and I thought Potsy and frickin' Ralph and all that, they all looked to be like 40 years old to me.
They were.
I think they actually were.
Richie Cunningham was the only one that was like 19, and he ran the Roost on that show.
But they were all supposed to be in high school, and they all looked like they were fucking getting Social Security.
I
Yeah.
don't think they actually started using high school kids as high school kids until like Nickelodeon and Disney started putting stuff out in the 90s.
That was its own kind of annoying.
Well,
of course, I was
really
the guy
young.
when I saw Jay North as Dennis the Menace. I thought, God, because Dennis the Menace in the comics is like 5 years old, even though he's got bigger vocabulary than 90% of college students now. Yeah. Jay North looked like he'd be working in an office job.
I like the comic Dennis the Menace. I just didn't care for the show too much.
Yeah.
Who was the neighbor that he always bothered?
Mr. Wilson.
Mr.
Yeah, that was. They had
Mr.
one.
what?
Wilson was the
Mr. Wilson,
character.
yeah.
Anyway, the actor. I think the actor actually passed away during the show, and they had to bring in another one. We need another old guy.
I think Dennis gave him a heart attack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you keep disappearing, Put.
Yep.
I don't know what that's up with.
You don't have a green screen, man. You need to get Jen and you ought to put up a green screen.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't mean to keep disappearing.
But just try to center yourself.
Okay.
Watch Putt disappear, and we won't see him again the rest of the show.
Let me see something here real quick.
Generally, when you key something, there's and you're into video editing and stuff, but when you key something, there's a tolerance. It's like the tolerance is too high on whatever you're doing.
They don't give you any Zoom doesn't give you any adjustments.
Yeah.
But Tony doesn't disappear as much until he puts the mic in front of him.
Yeah. Well,
part of it's this background, I think. Hang on a second.
Also, anyway, it's still daylight here. When it gets dark, I start disappearing more.
There we go.
That's better. Oh, that's good. I like that.
Yeah,
I like your wall behind you with the dragonfly and the guitar.
Yeah, just cool. My wall looks like shit, so I gotta have all this stuff.
I actually really, when I'm looking for precious moments and stuff on the weekend, I like it. I like looking at your wall.
Thank you.
So there.
Yeah.
And I like your mic with your shot mount. Looks good.
Thank you. Yeah, I took some time to adjust it and everything.
So did I tell you guys that I was in a country band once.
It was.
Yeah, we didn't have a name, so we tried to come up with a name to try to be folky and family-like because we considered ourselves a family kind of. So we
Uh-huh.
called ourselves the Clan, and
Oh God.
didn't work out very well for us. People just they didn't understand, um, but anyway,
No, I did.
you
I
do
can
what you can,
imagine.
and you let it you just let it all hang out. Not like that putt.
Ah,
Sorry, I was
Uh,
thinking about 69 again.
yeah.
yeah. Uh,
My bad.
do you want me to do a philosophy?
Go ahead, do a
Mm,
philosophy.
If humans were made to eat vegetables, then we'd like them.
That's probably true. It's probably very true. But there are some vegetables I like.
I'm not talking about Stephen Hawkins.
No, you know what?
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Chuck Norris is so badass that Stephen Hawking gave him a standing ovation.
ah.
Yep.
Now somebody
You
here
know, I
has.
saw.
Oh,
Go ahead.
somebody here has Broyhill furniture. I didn't think Broyhill did anything but just supply stuff to game shows. I mean, did they actually
Price is
sell
Right.
anything?
Yeah. I never heard
Yeah.
of Boy Hill outside of Price is Right. I thought,
It's like their house brand or something.
yeah, I thought maybe it was their house brand.
Yeah, it was made by, slave children in Indonesia.
Yeah.
Um. So, so what was I just gonna
So,
say
what?
before Broy Hill?
Oh, should I tell you guys about my weird dream? That's kind of funny.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So, the other night, I'm in bed as one does, and I'm tired. So, I go to sleep and I have this dream. Now, I'm not going to leave out any gory parts because there aren't any gory parts, but the beginning of the dream, me and some guy I don't recognize, we end up unaliving some guy for some reason. I don't remember. There were no gory details with that. We just unalived him, and it felt like the right thing to do. And then we figured, well, we got to get rid of the body. What are we going to do with that? So we take the unalived body and we decide to chop it up, like you always hear on the crime shows.
Yeah.
We chop it up and we burn it, but it didn't quite work. It still looked like an unalived body. So we thought, where the hell are we going to hide it? And then we both had the brilliant idea: let's hide it in the front yard. We just wrap it up, in some cloth and some trash bags and lay it there in the front yard. No one will know what it is. And but while we're doing that, we get it done, and then these kids on these bikes would drive by and say, "That looks like a dead body." And we're like, "It's not a dead body, Don't be saying that. I'll tell your mom," and all that kind of thing. This is true. We're in my dream. We're both out there yelling at them, and then every once in a while, a kid will drive by and say, "Looks like a dead body," or some grown up will come by in a car that said, "What is that? It looks kind of weird and fishy." We're like, "No, it's not." So we said, "You know what? We got a better idea. We're going to start decorating it for the holidays."
Ah.
So come Halloween, we put Halloween decorations on it, like a pumpkin on it. After Halloween, we wrap it up, keep it wrapped up, and then we put some turkeys on it and cornucopias along the side, so like, oh, nobody's going to be able to tell we got this thing hidden, and Christmas is coming up and all that kind of thing. And too many people are just getting suspicious if we got this what looks like a fetal
It's a
position
long
dead
dream,
body
but it's like
wrapped
it's
up.
going on different seasons and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, it's going on in different seasons, and we're just kind of sitting there. And then we know that eventually we know, okay, the cops are coming. So right behind the dead body, more towards the house, we start digging a hole. So we dig this hole really deep and we dig it down, and then we dig out a chamber, like a square, like a room, and then way in the back we dig another hallway, like a little hallway, and we dig down into that, and we dig a chamber, a little chamber. So we push that dead body down there and we take him in and we put him in the chamber and we, cover up the hole so that no one can see it. But, if we need to go down there, we can. And then in my dream, I'm starting to freak out. I'm starting to think, this isn't right. What the hell? I mean, I don't know. I didn't ever want to murder anybody. I never wanted to kill anybody. And I'm like, well, I'm going to go to prison. Somebody is going to eventually find this thing. And I'm like sweating it out. And I'm like, this is horrible. I don't want to be here. I mean, I can't believe I made this mistake. And then this voice in my head say, it's just a dream. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I told my partner, this guy didn't even have a face in my dream. I said, hey man, I think this is just a dream. He goes, it's not no dream, man. He goes, we got to be careful. And I'm like, no, it's got to be a dream. So we go back, and then I'm still sweating, and it's like, this can't be, real or whatever. I don't know what's going on. And then finally, it started to dawn on me, yes, this is just a dream. I'm not going to get arrested. I'm not going to prison. And it was like the biggest relief I've ever had in a dream when I started to wake up and started to shift into that other phase. And it's like, I didn't kill anybody. I don't do that, and it's like, no, this is just a freaking dream that you did this. And like, I wonder what this means. But then I finally came to my senses and realized, yeah, for sure, it was just a dream. And I was so relieved that I'm not going to prison. So that was my very strange, weird, long dream.
I've had that on waking up. It's like in a dream, I had all these tasks that I had to do. I had to make sure that this was done that way and that was done this way, and then this was, I had to do this thing over here, and I had to like turn this thing. And then I woke up and said, "Oh God, I don't have to do any of that stuff."
Yeah.
I have dreams like that. A lot of times. Sometimes it's my car gets totaled or stolen or something. Yeah, I had an interesting dream yesterday, or yesterday morning. Yes. What was it? Sunday night, whatever it was. So I was at some small kind of a mom and pop restaurant in the lobby, and there was this display. I don't know. It was like it was like kind of like a cigar store in Indian, but it wasn't. It was like some kind of it was some kind of thing, and I don't remember exactly what it was. And I touched it, and the damn thing broke, or pieces broke off, or it fell and broke, or something like that. Oh shit! I'm like, well, I'm going to do the right thing. And I walked inside, and I kind of told the owner, I said, your thing back there, it fell and broke, the thing in the lobby. And he's looked annoyed, and he starts heading out there. And there was a side door. I'm like, I can make my exit. So I went out the side door, and guess what I saw across the street?
What?
A Zimmer Quicksilver.
My God.
And it was silver too. And they only made black and red, but this one was so, and I was just like, wow, I don't know if I've seen one in real life. I might have when they first came out. And and if you haven't seen one, folks, I don't know how to describe it. But and like the rear hatch or something was open. I'm like, oh, there's somebody there. I'm gonna go see if I can talk to him and see the car. So I go to cross this road. It's just a 2-lane road, but I just could never cross. There'd be another car coming, then another car, then another, and then a bicycle, and then another car, and another car. And then finally, the car was gone, and the parking lot was gone.
Oh,
and like and all of a sudden I was in an elevator, kind of going up, and it was like in this modern kind of shopping mall. And looking out this open elevator, I could see corners of these stores. And I'm like, I guess that was in one of the stores, and I'm leaving. And so we're going up. There was a shop that looked like it had maybe dragon masks and something. I'm like, that's cool, but they weren't. They were just like these hanging dragon props. It was like a toy store or something. It was really neat. And then I kind of got off the elevator, and I could see, I was looking north, and this mall just kind of expanded on, and it was really neat looking. And I'm like, wow, I didn't realize I lived close to this. And I was like, where am I? I must be in Oxford, Alabama. I don't know what the hell I was thinking Oxford, Alabama for. If I had to choose, I think I'd rather be here without a fancy mall than be back in Oxford.
God, do you remember malls?
That was my dream. I thought it was interesting.
Oh yeah. No, in the dream, it's always, for me, it's always a place. Oh, this is our place. And it doesn't bear any resemblance to anything I've ever seen in my life at all. But
Yeah,
it'll be like, oh, it's our old house. No, it's not.
right.
But in the dream, it is. It's just strange.
I sometimes have dreams where I end up in my Kansas City house again, like I'm moving back, and those are good dreams generally, but they're still a little weird because some things are a little different, but it's neat.
Hey, Belt Loop.
Oh, I love those. And there was
Hey, Belt Loop. Welcome aboard.
oh hi Belt Loop.
Hey,
Hey,
Fidesco.
Bellwood, welcome.
Hi Fidesco. Okay, we're starting to pick up.
There we go.
Hey, Fidesco.
Belt Loop, are you by chance from the Transforma channel? Because we went there last week,
Yeah.
and
Don't forget
hopefully
to
maybe
like
get
and subscribe and ring the bell.
yeah, exactly.
And visit our Patreon. Wait a second. We ain't got a Patreon.
We
We got to get a Patreon.
You can visit my OnlyFans if you want.
There you go.
And we should get that other slob here in any minute. He didn't say he wasn't.
Yeah,
gonna
I want to give him the good news
Didn't
about
he
my
tell
work.
us that if he wasn't going to show up, he was going to tell us?
Well, he could be stuck down a mine or something. I forget.
Yeah.
You know that weird job he does where he's got to eat RVs or like turn them upside down or yeah, it's just,
Something like that. Yeah.
I can never quite figure out what he does for a living. I know he used to be a cop and that's gone.
At the bottom of the mine lies a
Big butt.
Got shot.
Big Dave. Yeah.
I've never been on OnlyFans. I don't know anything about it.
I haven't either.
I've heard about it. Like it's basically a porn site for like a Facebook porn site.
Yeah.
Like
Kind of, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, technically, almost DeviantArt could almost be like that.
Yeah.
Except they don't allow rigidness.
Okay.
Bell Loop, no, we're not quite that sophisticated. It's just our friend Timmy up here, the woodland creature, also has a YouTube channel called Transforma. I almost forgot what it was called. And we did the show on that one last week, and so we're doing it on this one this week, just to see if
kind of experiment. We went there for the first time to see if we could meet some new people, and we did. We had fun. We're going to do it again next week, I think.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
So you can find us on a couple of different places, and
Yeah.
we'll let you all know where we're going to be, and it's very easy to
We'll
find.
be in
either.
Cleveland, and no, wait a second.
Yep.
I don't know.
Well, I figured, I got like almost 19,000 subscribers on that channel, so I thought maybe we could get some people in chat.
Yeah.
We got a few.
Yep.
Just got baby steps. Got to start out.
Well, we were talking
May
about
I ask
dreams.
what you all believe here? I don't want to get into groups I will be maligned for hanging out with.
Well, we tend to stay away from any serious issues.
Yeah, we don't really talk about politics and stuff.
Yeah, we don't.
We got into a religion a couple times, and then Tony snapped at us and told us to shut up. So
we kind of try to what we talk about here is kind of stuff like from the past that we're interested in, and from the current events we're interested in, but we don't get it as far as current events is what I mean is current stuff that we've been involved with, not politics or anything like that. We want to make things interesting no matter what you're here for. And
yeah, but you might get our life story depending.
You might get our life stories or something like that.
Yeah.
But we want you to be engaged. We want you to ask questions, and I appreciate that question. But yeah, you're safe no matter what your views are here. I mean, we don't pick on people, and we don't moan and whinge and moan about anything one way or another.
We try to get our political discussions over with before we start.
Before the show starts, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Especially like with Transforma and stuff.
Yeah.
You get all types. And we have friends here that hang out. They're not here yet, but we get friends that show up.
Yeah.
And there's at least one we don't know her beliefs. So we kind of try to keep out of it. So we
keep out of it, yeah. But everybody's welcome. And if there's anything you want to talk about, just pipe up and we can talk about it.
Yeah, Putt just talked about a dream he had last night where he killed somebody and was trying to hide the body.
Yeah, it was horrible dream. Horrible dream.
What was that song? I had a dream about a plant or whatever it was.
I had a dream about a snot, about the Italian fight. Somebody ate all the time. Stirred with an adder in my
Now you do sound like a woodland creature.
There
Well,
you
yeah,
go.
but I never knew. That's what I thought the lyrics were when I was 5. I
Yeah.
didn't know the real. And that's what he, when
Oh,
people make songs, they
I don't
should
know the real lyrics
enunciate.
now, and I'm 63.
Yeah. I would like
Yeah.
to add one more thing about the dreams, and I've said this before, but just so our new followers can understand,
Mhm.
not all of my dreams, but some of my dreams take place in what I call it's like a dream land that I live in. It's not anything miraculous. It's like an alternate version of a reality that I live in where I could actually map it out for you, and it's like I know where the 7-Elevens are. I know where the roads are. I know where the lakes are. I know where the, you know, hospitals are and all that kind of thing. And a lot of times my dreams will take places and like that, and it doesn't change. And when I dream about that place, I have this weird feeling. It's almost like a taste or a smell or just an emotional reaction where I know I'm there. It's really strange. I haven't had them in a while, but sometimes, I have them and it's like I'm in this place that is completely familiar to me, but it's disturbing in a way because it feels too real. So I just add that, but I haven't had one of those dreams in a while. But when I do, I'll tell about whatever happens. And a lot of times when I'm there, nothing exciting happens. It's mundane shit. Like I'm trying to find the right bus to catch. I know the right bus. I'm waiting for something. And anyway, I made my point.
Well, the
So
problem in my dream is, I'm catching the right bus, and then and then I'm holding it in my hands because it's a toy bus.
Yeah, I get those a lot. Hey, freeze right there. It looks like you got a monkey on your shirt.
who,
Yeah.
me?
The way his face is warped, it's like he's. And
Me?
Belt Loop said that you could just use a plastic tub and sulfuric acid
Who else,
to get rid of the
Dingbat?
body. But
I could.
Punt made a Halloween decoration out of it and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. It was a really weird dream. I dreamed me and this buddy unalived somebody, and we didn't know where to hide the body. So in my stupid dream, we decided to wrap it up and put it in the front yard. And we figured nobody would
Excuse me.
find it there, but everybody was saying, "That looks like a dead body." And we was like, "Shut up, it's not a dead body." So we started decorating it for the holidays.
Might as well.
Might as well. But
Yeah.
long story short,
And that's if you want to play along at home, every time Putt says, Putt's the guy down there, he says,
I'm
long
here.
story short, you take a shot.
Take a shot. Yeah.
And
I say that a lot.
if when he says long story short, if the story's been going on for 10 minutes, you get to take an extra bonus shot.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, Putt is a Trekkie. He's a Trek nerd.
And that's Spock.
In fact, we did
He looks like Milton Berle.
and I'm an animator, by the way. So
it's Milton Spock. Yeah.
we did a animated film a long time ago called Star Trip.
Yep.
And he did the voice of Spock and Admiral Dickhead.
Uh-huh.
I did Captain Kirk's voice.
Yep.
And my alternative.
Imagine if they did
persona
Star
carries
Trek
on.
in like New York. Spock. In
Hey,
Boston.
Spock. Yeah.
Hey, Spocko.
Spock. What the hell are you doing there? Spock goes up to order a Philly cheesesteak, and they ask him with or without, and he goes like, "That's an illogical question."
And Butt's no longer a cop, so you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
No, I finished that years ago.
Though if Gottschalk ever shows up, our other guy.
Yeah, he was a cop a lot longer than I was.
Yeah, he was the chief of police for South Park, Colorado. So, and they actually drew him in an episode, or they stole his likeness for one of their characters once.
Yep.
I'm in Florida.
After that, I became a bounty hunter, and I was trying to hunt down all the old West, outlaws. But I realized it was, 2005, and I wasn't going to find any, so I retired from that.
Oh.
He was asking where we are located.
Where are you located? I'm in Georgia. Timmy's in Florida.
And I'm basically here, but at a much later time period.
Yes, he's in LA.
Tony, when that Randy Newman came out with that "I Love LA," did you just dance up and down and sing it over and over? Because that just seems like the kind of guy you are.
Well, it was more fun back then. Santa
Where do you
Monica
live now?
Boulevard.
Simply Crestview in Pensacola.
Oh, Crestview's
Oh,
right by Hula Vista.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There is that's Cedar Crest, and is there a Crestview? There's a Grandview.
Yeah, remember there was the big sign. It looked like a Crest toothpaste logo.
yeah, Crest is good toothpaste.
It was
Must be.
in the last page of summer.
Yeah. There's another animated film that I made that they're all in, and it's called The Last Page of Summer. That went to 25 film festivals around the world a few years ago.
Good.
And now I'm working. Excuse me. Got the hiccups.
Hookah.
Hiccups.
Hookahs? You
Yeah.
got a hookah?
Yeah, Smoking Caterpillar. Oh, you're in Mississippi. There you go.
Ah.
Cool. Mississippi. That's good.
I live on the right at Fernandina Beach, which is like if Florida's shaped like a gun, I'm right at the tip of the hammer. I'd like
Well,
on the
other people
Atlantic
say it's
coast,
shaped like
10
something
miles
else.
to the Georgia
Yeah.
line.
Yeah. Florida is America's wang.
Everybody
It's
wang
shaped like,
chung
it's
tonight.
shaped like a gun. People seem to totally forget that Florida's got a whole panhandle.
Yeah.
I'm sure Beltloop knows because he lived there.
And they forgot
you
about
think
they
about his
forgot that it
wangs
was in a different time zone when they like called Florida in one election. Remember that?
Yeah.
They called Florida where the polls were still open in the Panhandle.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Uh,
They got
yeah,
04 or some shit.
but all he thinks about are wingy dingies and 69. That's
Yeah.
all he talks about.
Usually all I talk about. Yeah.
Is
See,
an
now
Indian
that
or-
I'm going to be rich again, I think I'm going to get one of these guys.
What is it?
Oh, it's cool. It's a motorcycle.
Well, I kind of figured that. A Royal
Enfield. Enfield.
I've never. It sounds familiar. Is that an American bike? What is
No,
that?
no, it's
Enfield used to make airplanes.
well, they made the guns.
Oh,
That's
that's
where they
right.
got the start.
We live stream every week, every Tuesday at this time,
Yeah.
7 p.m. Eastern.
Yep.
Yep.
But that's a little 350, puts out all of about 21 or 22 horsepower, but $3,000 brand new with a 3-year warranty. It's designed in England, made in India.
Oh, wow. Okay. Pretty good, sir.
That means people are like stepping on it with their bare feet while they're.
Oh yeah,
working
I
on it.
definitely want to disinfect it when I got it.
So I will be delivering my Harley to a friend on Friday. Oh, you're selling your bike, huh?
Oh, wow. Okay.
Uh,
I'm sorry. I mean, maybe I am, maybe I'm not. Is this a good thing?
I don't know. The closest I've ever had to a motorcycle is a Suron. It's an electric motocross bike. It's what I broke my shoulder on 5 years ago.
Hmm.
I don't have
almost
the.
5 years I did that. 5 months of PT after that. Damn, it just sucked. Everybody, because of COVID, everybody was like, "Hey, do you want to do work on my song?" Because since we're not working and have COVID, we can do COVID song. All these songs with our slack time. I'm like, what? I still got to work.
Yeah.
Plus, I've got to go to physical therapy, pain and torture every day.
Yeah. And that was the thing
when-
is you got gypped because you were already working from home.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, I was.
I was a lot more special back then because I'd worked from home for like 8 years already, and then that happened, and everybody's working from home. I don't care.
And we did it at TVOn, TVOn.com. Watch us every night. There was some kind of BS rule about, if you're in media, it's okay, you can still go to work. And we were sort of in media, selling rings on TV as media.
I worked for the government during that time, and I worked from home, and I worked for the Office of Personnel Management, and my coworkers were. Yes, I did. Why are you laughing at me?
Sorry.
I'm a highly skilled, trained software engineer if I feel like it. But
you get your own computer to work with this shit, but
yeah, exactly. But that ain't my fault. I can't code this shit. It's just that Microsoft likes to introduce bugs constantly in my shit. But anyway, yeah, I had to work from home then too, and it was just like, okay, that was kind of cool, except when COVID first hit and everything was so grim and dark. You know, it's like everybody was still, we were still chiming in and supposed to be productive and do all that. And we were to some extent, of course, but you know, there were people that would come into the building. I remember somebody got fired for, I guess they tested for COVID at one point, and then they came to work at the Macon branch in Georgia, and they got fired or whatever for for testing positive for COVID a couple of weeks before that, or something along those lines. I don't remember
Kind of sounds
exactly.
illegal, doesn't it?
It kind of
I don't know
does.
all that illegal stuff.
I thought it was kind of shitty. I thought whenever COVID hit and everybody was all kind of like depressed and panicking about it, that maybe we'd get
Is I the
some
only? Am
date.
I the only one that wasn't depressed? I mean, it sucked that I broke my shoulder. That part of it sucked, but
Yeah.
Well,
I was just kind of going through. I was just the only thing that was bad is I released my film that year, and basically all of the film festivals kind of went online, and I was wanting to do a lot of traveling and handshaking and
Yeah.
networking, and that mostly didn't get to happen. And Beltloop said I don't have time to drive it these days, and he needed something reliable. That reminds me of Darren, my brother, when we lived in Colorado and we were getting ready to move. Uh, he had this '73 Chevy Nova piece of, you know, metal. So he would try. Darren wasn't the best mechanic, but he was always out there doing stuff, and he tried to put a radio in or something. And after he was done, the car started when you press the brake pedal.
Oh, nice.
And he like took the steering wheel off to try to fix it, I guess, and he couldn't put it back on, so he had a big screwdriver to steer the car with.
Oh,
And
Lord.
so he decided to trade it in for a chopper. It was a Honda. It was a Honda chopper bike, really nice. And so I went with them to the guy's house that was selling it, and kind of this fat guy, and he says, I hurt my back, so I can't ride the bike anymore. And Darren, they're kind of looking. He's like, hey, do you want to do an outright trade for that Nova? And he kind of looked, and he's like, okay. It's like that was about the easiest. And when we moved to Florida shortly afterwards, that's when Darren, he went, boom, he was all cool, and putted away on that bike, and I heard him go around the corner and up the next block, and I heard him go up the next street, and then all of a sudden, and then I heard a crash and a bunch of chickens. I made up that last part, but
okay.
you got to put an end cap on the story.
You hear the guy yelling, "I'm all right." Ain't nobody here but us chickens.
Well, now you're putting a hat on a hat.
No, I'm not. I'm making chicken noises.
Yeah, well, you do that.
What's that?
Huh?
Yeah.
Huh?
What?
What?
What'd you say? Huh? No, that was funny. I'm sorry. I just had to riff on it a little bit.
Yeah, don't do that again. Don't be.
Yeah.
Can't be funny on this show.
I will riff on whatever I want to riff on.
I know. I yell at you because I make fun of you, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, and that's fine.
And it's not done with a love or anything.
We don't. Because if something happened to you, I'd feel bad by just making fun of you and never saying anything nice.
No, if something happened to me, I don't want you to feel bad.
Of course, I'd feel bad for at least an hour or so.
Yeah.
That's all it's worth. Yes.
No, I'm just kidding. You're one of my best buddies. What?
Well, thank you.
I've known you for how many years? 40 years?
Something like that. 40 years. Yeah, we've known each other 40 years. Yep.
Tony had his first grandkid that time.
Yeah, his first kid that time?
Grandkid,
yeah.
Just making fun of Toady.
Yeah.
Toady.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's genetic dead ends here. Yeah, that's
Oh no, I got one.
Yeah, that's me and Darren. At least Putt had someone to continue your legacy.
Yeah, I do have a son, and I hope before he continues my legacy, I hope he straightens himself out.
Or you hope at least it skips a generation.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah. I'm thinking about getting me another younger wife so I can have babies, but
Yeah.
Jennifer would love that, so I'm not going to do it.
Well, you got to get her that. You got to
something
get her that red outfit with the IFR
Yeah,
training hood thing.
Uh-huh.
Only the
It's not
3XL is sold out.
It's
I
not a
don't know.
Star Wars reference, is it?
No,
Huh?
it's a
It's
handmaid's
yeah,
tale.
the ham bone tail.
Ham bone tail. Yep. Ham bone, where you been? Round the world and back again.
I just
Ham
had an
bone.
awful thought.
Yeah.
I was looking at that one piece of paper on your wall, and I'm like, it's kind of folding over. And I picture Putt trying to go and fix it and then falling down, and we never see him again.
Oh yeah, I can't fix it now. I have to wait.
For those who don't know, Putt had a major stroke a couple years ago. That's why
I did.
Well, he's still
And
alive, so I mean, how major
I'm
it
still
was.
alive.
Don't
I'm
jinx
still.
him.
My brain still works. The only thing that don't like to work is my left foot.
Ah,
Now I can walk a little bit, but I shouldn't say a little bit. I can walk, and I have a rollinator that I use, and I have canes that I use. Except my left leg decides to do whatever the fuck it wants. So if I want to go straight, the left leg may say, "No, we're going over here we're going left. We're going my way," and then I fall. Because the left leg don't listen to nothing. I'm like, we're trying to go see a movie, and the left leg's like, I don't fucking care about no movie, and it was just like, splat. You're down on your back or whatever. But no, I'm getting better at it.
That's good. It's baby steps. And Belt Loop said, I enjoyed the live stream. I did subscribe and hit the like button. I'm sure I'll see you around.
all right. Well,
Thanks for
dropping
hanging
by.
around with us, Belt Loop. We appreciated that.
Yeah,
and
thank you,
see
man.
you again. And how does that work? If we're doing it from the Transforma channel, the bell button here won't work, I guess.
Well, no, they're subscribing to BabbleGab, and then. But what you can do, I guess, in the show description, we could put a link to the other.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We'll
to,
do an event. Can you do that
Yeah.
here? I don't know how that works. So you have to have Well, yeah, I guess we don't have to click on the actual live stream button.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. But yeah, I hope we'll give you we'll put in a.
We'll give you a heads up, Belt Loop. Thank you for stopping by.
Yeah. Take care. Good luck with
We enjoyed your company, and I hope everything works out with your motorcycle.
Yeah.
Well, it's his friend now, so he don't care now. It's his friend's trouble.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, that's the
Cool,
show.
cool,
Wait a second.
Well, hey, Fidesco, are you still around? Wendy's doing church stuff again. But she said if she gets off early, that she'll be here.
That's cool.
Yep.
One of my concerns is I'd like to take some classes and maybe get a different degree, but I don't know how that would affect my disability.
Yeah, the thought of even going into a classroom just makes me go.
Well, so I could audit or something. I mean, I don't mind, learning stuff, but
well, you can do online classes now.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go back to school because I'm so ADHD or whatever that I figured I would just daydream all day and nothing would get absorbed.
Yeah,
but I went anyway, and I did okay. I guess I did okay. I was valedictorian, so.
Well, there you go. You did good then.
Yeah.
Forget about it. You did great.
Forget about it.
Yeah. Forget about it. That was
my first ever trophy, because I thought the car show was my first trophy, and then I got I got one from the graduation thing.
Third grade
graduation. It's not a pretty trophy. It's like one of those things that looks like something Superman would have, like the little plexiglass diamond thing.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
My first ever trophy was my cop shooting trophy when I won the Academy shoot off.
How many cops did you shoot?
Yeah.
I only a couple.
Gave you trophies for that.
Yeah, well, no. It wasn't that. It was accuracy and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And I'd never fired a pistol before I went into the academy before, it was fun. I mean, I remember doing it, doing that day and all that kind of stuff, but I got to figure out new ways to have fun other than shooting things.
Because that ain't the way to have fun, son.
Are you good at lock and loading blocks?
Yes.
I need to live stream with you. I mean, Skype with you sometime, okay?
Okay.
Without
Yep.
saying too much.
Well, you do it right now.
Well, I haven't got a
Well,
Glock with me
well, I
right
mean,
now.
Ah.
I don't. I will do it sometime. I did learn, and then it's been so long.
Mm.
I guess I've been lucky that I haven't had to. Uh, but I want to make sure if something does happen, I'm not fumbling around. And plus, you
Yeah.
got to hold it a certain way, or it'll rip your thumb open if you're like
Yeah.
thumbs behind the behind
Ah.
the
Right. Well,
line.
you gotta get the right hand position in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But
And,
I'm
and,
just
and
wondering,
basically, there's a right end and there's a wrong end. That's
yep.
most of what you need to know.
Yeah. Well, they say that if your thumb is like over the butt of the barrel,
Uh-huh.
that it pops out when it shoots, and that'll cut through your thumb if it's
Yeah,
Yeah, you don't
you need
actually shoot like this.
no, you don't. You shoot
right,
with your hand down like this.
right.
The gun's up here, your hands down here. You have three fingers on your grip. You have one beside your trigger, and the thumb just stays there next to it.
Yeah.
When you're ready to fire, that's the only time you put your hand in the trigger. Otherwise, you don't put your hand in the
Right.
trigger. Even when I was clearing a building or doing something like that,
Right.
I kept my finger out.
Yep.
Okay. I did not put my hand in the firing well near the trigger.
Mhm.
It's called trigger discipline.
Oh yeah.
And it
And
helps you
whatever
from
you do,
Get Alec
don't get your gun safety lessons from watching old movies.
no,
Oh my God, those guys.
no, don't watch that. They don't,
You
it's
can
hard to
watch
see.
Rust, and when Rust comes out, that's a good, like, you can tell how to.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
It's still too soon.
Well, you can see it even in modern movies sometimes when they don't know what they're doing.
Well, back
You
in the
know.
40s, I mean, pistols had sights. Nobody used them.
Yeah.
When in the movies,
Yeah, you never see anybody aiming it. They're just usually just squeeze it and bang, and then the guy, 30 feet that way goes down. It's like,
Oh
huh?
yeah, they got the gun by their belly when they shoot.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But they do that all the time, especially like westerns and stuff.
Oh boy, those are terrible with that.
And then you
One
got
of the
what you got the gangbangers that like shoot it sideways and all
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
That's
One
why
of the-
little kids get shot, because they're not, they
One of the best examples I ever saw of a gunfight was in Deadwood, Nevada, and they did a reenactment of a real gunfight. Two guys called out this one other guy, and they were standing there in the streets. And, the guy that won basically took out his pistol, braced it on his arm. The other guy started shooting, and he pow, pow, shot them both once and killed them both while they were spraying bullets all over the place.
Yeah.
But he just stood his ground, braced his shot, and took his fire. It's like Wyatt Earp says, the last thing you want to do in a gunfight is hurry.
Yeah.
He goes, but that's basically how
it was a demonstration.
yeah, this was a live demonstration out in the street. They had blanks and stuff, of course.
They were
But I
reenacting an
Even with
actual.
blanks, they're
They
not
were
supposed to aim
reenacting
at
a
people.
real live gunfight that happened there at Deadwood. Yeah.
That's
And-
what the thing with Baldwin is, like, people are like, well, it was a prop gun. It's like, no, prop guns are real guns. They just shoot blanks. You don't ever actually aim it at somebody.
No, you don't.
It's
In
all
fact-
camera angles.
Yep.
Right.
You know?
And in fact, most of the time when you're shooting a prop gun on a movie set, you don't even shoot at the actor. The
Oh.
actor's usually not even there. They have a board or something that you're supposed to fire at. Okay.
Mhm.
So whatever happened in that situation, I'm not sure. They had some girl that was the weapon master who didn't know what the fuck she was doing. And they didn't have the set properly policed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's back when I think things are starting to turn, but they're not. I think people are going to stop hiring the blue-haired people just to meet their quota for blue
Yeah, I
hair.
think
Yeah,
so.
now.
Yeah.
Uh,
Like if I was ever
DIE is going by the wayside.
I think
Yeah.
so. I think the tide is turning. Did you hear Cindy Brady? She says that they were going to do a new Brady show. and they they didn't go through the show because she liked a certain orange guy, and
She liked what?
a certain orange man. So
Man.
they were saying in the article she has no apologies for questioning the vaccine and saying that people that do that surgery are going to hurt themselves. And I'm like, is she supposed to apologize for I mean, okay, thanks for not bending the knee, I guess. It's like
yeah. Well, that's, hopefully that crap's gone. I mean, so many of these celebrities.
I think people, just what we found out a couple weeks ago, is people have had enough.
Yep. It'll be a cold day before I watch another Hollywood movie.
I saw a video about the Hiroshima, like the horror stories.
Yeah.
Speaking of horror stories.
Hey, speaking of horror stories, hey Dave.
There he is.
I could give you the link, but it's depressing.
Yeah.
But it basically, it kind of recounts a book of one of the survivors. And I think what makes it so horrific is it was full of people who should have floofied that didn't. It was like Walking Dead. And it was really disturbing. It was probably the most disturbing thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. Anyhow, to brighten the mood, and now the Gottschalk's here. At work at tvon.com. Tune in every night. We're doing adding all the shows, and now it's going to be like every night, and it's a Saturday and Sunday morning. So I'll be working 7 days a week. We got a guy coming in because Lauren can't do all of the shows. Guy coming in, his name's Danny Blair, and he sells watches. Now, I don't know if it's going to be vintage watches or friggin' Invictus or what, but I think he's going to do Sunday night, Monday night, and Tuesday night.
Cool.
Is he going to be running the production part of it?
Invictus already have like their own show though on all those other.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Dave will dig it the most.
Yeah.
I might start watching now. I was watching before, but now it comes on so damn late here. So.
Well, no, that's changing too. We're going on. The evening shows will now all be, except for Tuesday, they'll all be at 5 p.m. Pacific, so 8 p.m. Eastern. That's the big change.
Talk of us possibly starting the show an hour earlier.
Yeah, because we're going to be it's going to be weird because the Tuesday night show, because I have to go to work on Tuesday. No more days off for me ever. And the Tuesday night show starts at 7 my time, which is 10 your time. So we could maybe start our show here an hour earlier and still be able to go 2.5 hours or whatever the heck.
Yeah.
So if you have to knock off a half hour early, does that mean the show's over?
Kind of, unless you're doing it on Transforama, then you can run the OBS, and I could just leave Zoom up and turn my monitors off.
You can do that, and remind me next. I think we're going to go to Transforama next week. Yeah. I got to turn down my mic. I was a lot louder than you guys.
Yeah, just watch your levels on OBS.
Unless we want to start the show earlier, Timmy.
That's what we said.
Oh.
An hour early. Start the show an hour earlier, but he's still going to have to leave a half hour before the end of the show.
Okay. If we go the whole 3 hours, or if you go 2.5, or what?
How you doing, Dave? How was your week?
Doing well. I mean, I'm kind of really smarting today from my sciatica episode. So,
has it cleared up mostly though?
Mostly, but I'm feeling it tonight.
You know what can help remedy that is booze and drugs.
Yeah.
Well, better than that is.
There you go.
Can you get Jackie to massage your butt?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, okay.
You know what's so funny? Can you get Jackie? And I was almost going to interrupt him and say, massage your butt. And he did it anyway.
See my butt.
When you got the sciatic, it's what they call piriformis syndrome. and it's exactly as Dave described. I mean, your whole leg will hurt, your whole back will hurt. And what the problem is those muscles are inflamed and they pinch that sciatica nerve,
Yeah.
and it causes just, it's horrible, and it goes down. But you need to, the best thing you can do is either ice or whatever, or massage that, keep that
Yeah.
to where you can get those muscles to loosen up some. It's hard to do, but I've done it with Jen. She had bad sciatica, and it took me days to get her. I mean, I don't mean to talk derogatory about my wife, but I could feel the differences between one buttock and the other buttock, the one that was bothering her, how tense and deep the knots were. You know what I mean?
Oh, I had a wife who had this back problem, and every once in a while she'd ask me to massage the knots out of her back, and you could just they were that lump. You'd have to knead them out. You could just feel the lumps that
Yep.
like the where the I guess the muscle just bunches up.
Uh-huh.
I would try to get massages from her too, and it never worked because then she'd want sex. I'm like, sex?
Right.
Yeah, what
Sex
the
is-
hell's up with that? You know?
Sex
Yeah.
is gross. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you got to sing that Major General song. That ba, 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 ba. Oh, wait a second. That's
guys,
that's
before I forget-
that's pinafore syndrome.
And if I am the Mary.
Before I forget,
model
I
of a
told you about,
modern-made general. My butt is swollen and it hurts.
Oh, Steve, that was a show Steve was in. But I at the end of the show, my movie, when Steve Arini gives Tracy Trell her princess gown, I thought that she would maybe go over and kiss him, and he's like, blah, blah. What do you think?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I had a wife once that was a massage therapist, and
Ah.
she had her
I'm
own
about to say
office.
misogynist. So.
Yeah. Either
Yeah.
way.
She had her own little office, and she would, after her day was done, she would invite me over to the office, and then, she would want sex on the massage table. I'm like, God damn it, I don't want to do this, but
Yeah. And if you ever have a band
yeah.
and you're auditioning like a girl singer, be careful.
Uh-huh.
Just don't, unless you're looking for a relationship.
Nope.
And if you are looking for a relationship, just say, "Hey, I need a singer." That's what you gotta do.
Well,
Oh my
I'll never be in a band with a girl. I can tell you that right now.
What options have we explored for the show?
Options.
Options.
So far, the only option we've explored is starting it an hour earlier. But if
How about moving? I mean, I know we hate Saturday, but how about moving it to Saturday?
Oh no, because
Tony
Saturday
works.
I'm going to be working in the morning and in the evening.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah, Tuesday's
There you go.
still the only
Yeah,
time Tony's gonna have any time for us.
Yeah.
I like
Unless
the
we
cat,
just want to
Dave.
do this show in the middle of the day.
You got a cat?
which-
Do what?
I just told Dave
Yeah,
I
but
like
I don't
this
want to.
cat.
I don't want to start drinking in the middle of work.
Yeah.
That's
What's
one
wrong
thing
with
I've
that?
never done in the 13 years I've worked there. I've never done that and don't plan to. That's a
Yeah.
bad precedent.
That is a bad. It's
Almost as bad as the
unprofessional.
one we
and
got
Because
now.
I do that, and then I might as well be a car work, a line worker in Detroit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and make $45 an hour plus per diem and everything else.
Yep.
Yeah, but they sell their souls to Satan when they do that. They
Or Santa.
Coffee.
Welcome to your earthly existence, Timmy.
Yeah.
I don't belong to a union.
Oh, hang on a second.
Oh. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Oh, why don't you run off too? It better get up and run away too.
Well,
I'm
when,
here.
when you
Oh,
gotta
okay.
when you gotta pee, or when I gotta
Do
pee,
it then. Fool around, just go.
I was getting up.
Well, then,
I can't talk while I'm getting up.
no, you don't. Just get.
All right.
Go on, get.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm going to be working Saturday and Sunday morning, and the show goes from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific. And then the evening show starts at 5 p.m. Pacific. So I'm going to have a whole 2 hours to ride my bike home, flop down on my bed, try to get a nap, and then ride back down to work. It's gonna be fun. I'll sure
Sorry
enjoy the
about that.
paychecks.
That was my
Though.
mother. That was my mother calling, and generally when she calls us.
Okay.
So, sorry.
Is everybody okay?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Well, no. She was calling to let me know that my aunt had came up positive for breast cancer. So.
Oh boy.
So.
Yeah, my mom had that.
See, Mark, you gotta live by your shirt there.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you.
Live long or not.
Yeah.
Live long and prosper.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yep.
Well, he made it to what, 93?
Or how about 2 1-hour shows during the week?
Problem is, it takes us an hour just to friggin' figure out we're on the air.
All I heard was that last part. What is Gottschalk saying? Let's make it 2 hours again.
No, I said, how about 2 1-hour shows during the week?
Yeah.
Because it takes us that long just to figure out we're doing a show.
I remember somebody saying that. I forget which.
Wendy said it was our third hour is always the funniest.
So let's not even broadcast the first two and just bullshit with each other, and then go live.
Isn't that kind of what we do? We bullshit for 2 hours, and then when we go live anyway.
Because after the third hour, after the second hour, we start getting loopy.
Well, no, but my favorite
gets fun.
Australian guy who does a live stream, his goes for 6, 7, sometimes 8 hours, and he's drunk as a skunk about halfway through. And
Is it good?
Drunk as a skunk.
yeah,
He must be making money, a living doing that.
he does. He actually does.
Shoot, I would
Not
do
a
this for 8
whole lot,
hours
but
and I could
every so often he'll get like. I remember one night he got like $2,000 in super chats.
Oh shoot, Salty gets that easily every show.
Yeah, but this guy's not mainstream.
Well, here's the thing about Salty. When I first started watching him, it was in 2000, right around when the COVID happened, and that's when I started exploring different bloggers and seeing what they were all about. You know, I checked out the Timcast, and that didn't last long, and different people. And Salty was still kind of small. I mean, he read my super chats, and I sent him a care package for the last page of summer, and he actually pulled up my magnet in front of the camera and stuff. And shortly after that, he got too big where he couldn't do that anymore.
Oh, of course.
And now, I mean, get this, this big news with Alex Jones and all this, that this last couple of days, Salty was Alex's guest the day before that.
Oh, wow.
So that's how big time he is.
Yeah.
So he went really big. So, I mean, he makes probably 10 grand a live stream at least.
But that's, your mainstream and you're not being canceled everywhere. And
I'm surprised he hasn't. He swears up and down it's because he just has toys behind him, and that people don't take him seriously. That's kind of one of the reasons.
He doesn't talk about the, how do I say it on YouTube? The space aliens.
Yeah.
Well, what he does is when he starts talking about things that'll get him canceled on YouTube, it's Rumble only. So I just watch him on Rumble. Crowder does this. Well, no, Crowder does kind of like that, but then he stops and you have to pay for it, like a paywall. His Mug Club. I don't watch him much anymore.
Nah.
Not since his scandals with his divorce and stuff. It's not that I just kind of, I don't know. I don't like his stupid music videos at the beginning. All that fluff that he does. Hey, what are you doing, Putt? Speaking of fluff,
He's fluffing.
Facing the wrong direction. You're looking at your feet.
Loafing?
Sorry. My feet.
So what do you do
important.
all day? Loafing? What?
Loafing?
Yeah.
That was
Loafing?
No, that was Abbott and Costello bit, and Bud worked at a bakery, and so what do you do at the bakery? Loafing, meaning he's making loaves of bread. But that's the other thing.
No, I think the only old show like that I watched was The Little Rascals.
And now they're
I
the old
suppose if we had
rascals.
the Three Stooges and those other Laurel and Hardy, if we had them regularly, I mean, I
Yeah.
kind of remember seeing them, but it seemed like Little Rascals was a lot more ubiquitous.
Yeah, when
mean,
I
it
was a
always-
kid, they had that cartoon Three Stooges thing where they were trying to make a comeback with, Joe Dorita. They were all older than hell.
Yeah.
Well, they were gonna do a new show in the early 70s.
Yeah, 74. That was the year that both Larry and Mo passed away.
No, but before 74, it was like 71. They were gonna do a new Three Stooges show, and then Larry had a stroke,
Yeah.
and that basically put a stop to all. And I don't think Larry ever recovered, so it kind of
Yeah.
just.
Because I think
That's sad. I would've
Mo and
been-
Larry both passed away the same year. I think they both passed away. I think in 74.
Yeah,
Well,
but
and
I mean, but Larry had his stroke a few years early because they were. I think it was 71. They were going to do a new Three Stooges show because they were
Okay.
all okay at that time. It would have just been old Three Stooges. That would have been okay. It'd been like the Golden Girls.
The funny thing is, the Golden Girls weren't that old. I think we're all the same age as the Golden Girls were when
That's
that show was
depressing
on.
because they all floofied like
Every damn one of them, yeah. And the mama, the mama was the same age as the others, but they just had a lot of age makeup on her.
Yeah, I heard
Yep.
she was actually younger than. But
couple of them, yeah. Well, I don't know how anybody can watch a show with B. Arthur on it. She's such a bitch. I mean,
my mom, she was her favorite. My mom loved B. Arthur. She just she loved Maude. She loved the Golden Girls. She loved B. Arthur, and I liked her too. I heard like behind the scenes, it's like when between the scenes in front of the live audience, that Betty White loved to chat with the audience and have fun, and B. Arthur was really stuck up and wouldn't be a
she
part of
was.
it.
Well, she was a Marine. I mean, she was in the Marines.
She
I think,
was a
and
Is that
Marine,
just
and
how
she's-
Marines are? They're all buttholes?
No, not all Marines, but I mean,
Because Drew
She-
Carey was a Marine and he's a
Yeah.
butthole.
yeah, there's a lot of guys. You think Drew Carey's a butthole?
Yeah, he's got that TDS shit. I think it's blackmail or something. They're forced to say these because why else would they?
I don't know, but there's a lot
Did you
of
see that Han Solo was doing that shit? All jiving for Kamala and all that stuff.
Oh well.
It's like he was the only one from Star Wars I kind of still respected because I didn't know his political beliefs. I'm like, but basically they all made her lose. It's like,
Well, there's a lot of cool Marines that are on TV. I mean,
there's Gomer Pyle.
first of all, John Cena was a Marine, and he's funny as hell, and he's really good. I'm trying to think of who else. Adam Driver is a Marine, and he's a good guy.
Lou Gossett Jr. was a Marine.
Lou Gossett Jr. Yeah,
I could
There's
have
a
made
lot of good
Marine.
Marines.
You know why I could make a good Marine?
Why?
why?
Because I can sing it. From the Hazar Mountains through the shores of Tripoli.
Captain Kangaroo was a Marine.
Was he really?
Yeah, he was on Iwo Jima. Didn't he kill a 50 man?
He was him and
That was
Lee
Mr.
Marvin
Rogers.
were actually my
Yeah, that was Cotton Hill, not Captain Kangaroo.
I liked Captain Kangaroo, but I tried to find reruns of it, and you can't find it. It's almost impossible because it's like nobody kept it. Any of them.
Yeah. A lot of that stuff on videotape. They would just put the video. They rewind to the beginning and just tape it over.
Here you guys
I'm
asked
so
her.
glad that somebody filmed the New Zoo Review where the Froggy was
Right.
showing his nuts and all those people were going.
What's that?
Ask her.
Okay.
I want to massage my buttocks. So.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Captain Kangaroo. No, but I saw on Facebook, I saw an ad where somebody had a Blu-rays of the nighttime cartoon program, Wait Till Your Father Gets Home.
I remember that. Yeah.
Somebody remembers that? I thought I was the only one who ever saw that show.
Wasn't it kind of like Family Guy, but like better and like 20, 40 years earlier?
Yeah, it was kind of like almost like All in the Family, but not quite.
Yeah. I remember the theme song. Wait till your father gets home.
Who was the guy that was on with Johnny Carson?
Ed McMahon?
Man?
Who?
Ed
You know,
McMahon.
speaking of, you can't find proof of anything. You cannot find proof that Ed McMahon did the Publishers Clearinghouse.
Oh, yes, you can.
No, because he did American Family Publishers.
Oh, there you go. See?
You know what? Speaking of which, same vein, I was trying to go down my sentimental road, and I wanted to find the Mutual of Omaha Wild Kingdom song.
Oh.
Mutual of Omaha is people, you can count on them when you fall down and bust your head. And I tried to find that song, and
Marlon Perkins and his
well, he
and the
didn't
guy
sing
he
it.
sent into all the danger. Yeah.
I couldn't find it anywhere. It was nowhere on YouTube. It was nowhere.
Huh.
And I couldn't believe it. And a couple years went by, and I searched for it again. And finally, there was just one video, and it had the song. And what happened? It was a full song, like a 2-minute long song. And they basically the guy described it that he was the same way. He was trying to find the song and couldn't. And basically, he did some stalking or detective work, and he somehow located, I don't know how he did, but he found the guy's name and couldn't find him, and he floofied, but he found his daughter and got a hold of her and asked about the song, and she sent him a tape of his jingles. He did several jingles, and that's the only way you could find it on YouTube was from that cassette tape. And I played it on the Fun Hour. I played it on Apology on Fun Hour number 18, the full song.
Yeah, I remember that was Mutual of Omaha is people, just like Soylent Green.
That's right. It's kind of weird, but you know, it's sentimental. Because it was always in the beginning of Wild Kingdom.
Oh, and I mean,
Wild Kingdom was, this is Wild Kingdom with your host, Don Knotts. Mutual of Omaha is people. And it's like, watch as the lion devours its prey. Oh!
Hey, Ange, watch us, the lion, the wildest prey.
because we had the Wonderful World of Disney, which is originally the Wonderful World of Color, which we watched on black and white. And then there was Wild Kingdom, and then there was a show called Survival. And the opening of that was just the word survival and a piece of rope that was coming unraveled.
Wow. And then there was also Jacques Cousteau. Everybody watched that.
Yeah.
Wasn't that Saturday mornings or Sunday mornings?
I'd never seen Jacques Cousteau. I didn't even know much about him.
Marlon Perkins would send Jim in, to wrestle the rhinoceros to the ground,
Yeah.
I always thought that it was more of an afternoon show to me, but I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it was always in the evenings or when we saw it.
Yeah. And also, I was going to say something
or you could
important.
watch The Love Boat.
It's been scrapped in India.
Yeah, every Saturday night was Love Boat and Fantasy Island.
I met the guy who wrote the song. Who wrote the I met the guy who wrote the Love Boat theme, Paul Williams.
That's right, and you could have met the guy who sang it, Jack Jones, who, rest in peace, passed away a couple of weeks ago.
I like the Love
Unless
Boat.
he was at a
too,
con, I don't think I would have met him.
Yeah.
The Love Boat.
You guys ever seen those YouTube videos of the guy that remakes the Love Boat intro music and things?
Yeah.
And he puts like the stupidest people in, the circles and stuff. And
Cthulhu.
Put a link in either our
Thing or the other
BabbleGab
thing.
chat, or because I'd like to see that. I like funny stuff.
Yeah, he put
Most of the funny
Godzilla in
stuff
there
you
once.
guys
That
write
was
is
pretty
just like,
funny.
look at Kirk. This one scene, his badge is on the wrong side of his shirt. That kind of crap, and it's like that's not.
I mean, the one I saw, the one I remember the most, it had like John Holmes in there.
I don't know who he is. See,
Boat.
I don't know who John Holmes is.
Good.
He was an old porn star that died of AIDS.
Didn't they all?
Wonderful.
All except for that the one short hairy guy.
Yeah, Ron Jeremy.
Yeah, I saw him at the old studio we used to work at, and he's even shorter and uglier in real life.
Yeah, and he's senile, and he's probably in jail right now.
Sure, should
I don't
be.
know. I just know a friend of mine who goes to the cons all the time because his mom's a movie star. He said that Ron would every time he was at a con, he'd always come up to them and was so nice and would just talk to them so long. He said he was a nice guy.
No, he's
Just
not.
don't shake hands.
He
You're just
raped
talking about. Oh, he raped me. You did it with him all day. What? He took one pass at you when the clock was off, and now it's rape. What are you doing? What are you doing?
No.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
Calm down.
I think at that point it's called shoplifting.
Calm down, Beavis. Calm down,
Okay,
Beavis.
we finally got a little precious moment there. We might
There's
have had a
been
few
nothing but
before.
precious moments.
We've been doing okay. We had some people in chat before. And
Yeah, we had
that
Belt Loop,
gave us.
who lives in Mississippi, and recently had
and
to
I
sell
was
his
gonna
Harley.
give him a story about Mississippi, and
In Mississippi.
I forgot. If he ever comes back, I will remember to remind me to tell him about Mississippi.
Yeah.
And ironically enough, he did not come here from Transforama. I'm wondering. He said he just saw it in his feed, so I'm wondering how this no-name channel ended up in somebody's recommend list or something. That's interesting to
Well,
me.
don't look a gift horse in the mouth
Or the
I'm
butt.
more like a deer than a
or
horse.
whatever. No pun intended. I'm just telling you.
I hope he doesn't think that I'm like a furry because of this.
You are.
You know
a
what we
furry.
could do? This could work. We could all like wear suits and then rate and review fast food.
There you
Well,
go.
that's what
That's
Review
funny.
Bra
That guy
does.
that does that, I immediately thought of Tony. Tony would like this guy just because of how.
Wait, oh yeah, this guy's cool.
Just
Yeah,
because of his
re-
swag, you know, the
Yeah,
way
Review Bra
he's dressed
does
like
that.
1939. It's a good.
Yeah.
And he's got his hair combed back like it's 1939.
Mm-hmm.
He looks good, like very period. So
Yeah.
it's weird seeing him.
He
stuff
does.
junk food in his mouth.
He wears a full suit, combs his hair about like 1939, and he rates fast food. And everybody calls him Review Bra,
Mm-hmm.
and he's very good at what he does, and he's
Very.
got a big following.
But he's gonna floofy young eating that shit.
He
even if
doesn't
it's just
actually.
for
I
him.
think he takes one bite, finishes the video, and chucks it.
He's
He
got
probably
to
does if he's smart.
because we talked about that one guy that started out thin, and then he started gorging, and this where people would watch him gorge, and then he became
Right.
obese.
Nikado, avocado, then he
Then he
claimed.
became gay, and it's just like what the.
Well, now
Wouldn't you
he
hate
claims
I would
he
hate
lost.
to have a life like that. That you're just dependent on video views. I like
Right.
the Transforma getting subscribers and stuff, but I can't imagine ruining my life over it, my physical health.
Well, he probably did, because now he's trying to convince people that he lost like 130 pounds in a year, and he's doing all this weird shit, but nobody believes him. They
Yeah.
think he's pulling a scam again, and he's faded out of popularity. Nobody cares about him anymore.
Well, yeah, I think he's got a reputation now of like crying wolf or faking things.
Yep.
Gottschalk had his own video thing. It was popular, but then he like was lying to people saying he was gonna floofy like in a week and stuff. The doctor gave him like a week, and then the week came by and he's still there, and he would say he never said that. I never said that.
Yep.
You have any card? You said you were gonna buy a new game,
I didn't hear
Gottschalk.
you.
Well,
you
I should do a channel where I claim to, on a live myself every week, and then
Yeah.
like shoot myself in the head for real, and then
It's Cards Against Humanity Star Wars Edition.
Oh, goody.
love that. Yes.
Great. Well, give us a card from what you got, since I
Yeah.
hate Star Wars.
No, you don't.
I like the original movie, but I'm not.
I know what
it's
I'm
it's
gonna
not a
do.
part of my life. It was a good movie.
I'm going to draw I'm going to draw a question card or a comment card.
And while he's doing that, and we're talking about Star
We'll draw
Wars.
a card and then we'll draw an answer card from the bad version.
Okay, well, I have had a couple dreams regarding Star Wars that are usually pretty good. One, I think my favorite dream is I-10. Tony knows about I-10.
Yeah,
Well, it
right
runs.
there.
It dead ends in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Right before it dead ends, it's in the city part of Jacksonville. And I had a dream where I was right off the. I had a little I don't know if it was a house or a little apartment. It was this one story thing that was right off the freeway.
Ooh.
I mean, right off the freeway. And I had a big in the dream. I had a big TV and a big sound system, and I'm watching Star Wars, the original, the only good, the only real Star Wars, and it was rush hour, and I'm like, everybody in these cars are gonna be they're so jealous because they can see I'm watching Star Wars and they're stuck in traffic. It was a dream I had.
What a cow,
Go
yeah.
ahead. Go ahead, Dave.
Gee whiz, that's that sure gave you an impression. You didn't even react.
Well, it kind of did.
Yeah,
I
by
can't see
saying what
because
you got- what
you're
you
all
got
hat and no
podcast.
cattle there, bud.
So
I was trying to speak your language, Putt, with a Star Wars dream.
do
and you
not
just
go in the
totally
pool.
bypassed
There's
me.
blank in there.
Ah. Don't go in the pool. There's that black goo that ate Tasha Yar.
Yeah, Armus. The
To me,
skin
that's
of
kinda
You give a
sexy. I like
name
that kind of
to a pool of black goo.
Yeah, his name was Armus.
And what do? They also they called the wind Mariah too, right?
No,
Mary.
he said his name in the episode.
Yes, his name is Armus.
Not talking about Hendrix. I'm talking about Seven Brides for
All
18
right,
Brothers.
okay, Putt, this is for you, Gotchaka Clark Bar.
Clark Bar. Huh?
You would probably get the reference because you like that movie.
Yes. Okay, so do not go in the pool. There's emerging from the sea and rampaging through Tokyo. In there.
Keep holding it up.
Say that again.
No sense whatsoever.
Keep holding it up. You faded out when you said that.
Okay.
It won't make any more sense.
Do not go in the pool. There's 8 ounces of Mexican black tar heroin in there.
Ah.
There you go.
I kind of like the Clark Bar myself.
Yeah, the Clark Bar was good. Wasn't it a Baby Ruth though? From the
Was it? I thought it was a Clark Bar. Otherwise, I wouldn't have even thought of Clark Bar because I didn't even realize.
Now the
there
Clark
was
Bar
one
is the one that's
except-
like hard as a rock, but then busts to bits, and it all goes in between your teeth.
taffy. Yeah.
Yeah. Toffee, not taffy. Taffy will stick your mouth shut and you're just dead. Toffee will bust to bits and go and stick in between your teeth.
Well, it's worth goggling. What was the bar in Caddyshack in the pool?
It was a Baby
It's
Ruth.
Baby Ruth.
Yeah.
Sure?
Yes.
Then why did I think Clark Bar? Because I'd never heard. I had
Has nobody ever
that
heard
name
of a
for
Clark
40
Bar?
years.
It's one of the more obscure bars.
Well, my answer to Gottschalk's card is 8 ounces of tar heroin in the pool. I wouldn't go in there because it's going to create a hedra.
There you go.
None of you
Now,
know what
speaking
that means.
of Clark Bars, so
I was thinking of
this
the
guy
Heath Bar.
Brad, the one that had the boat, when I used to work with in Alabama, the charismatic, smart guy that was like 10 years younger than me, but like succeeded way past whatever I could do because he was smart and charismatic.
Ah.
Well, he was good at the pranks. Well, one time he took one of those kind of candy bars and had it melted just enough and put it on some toilet paper and in the floor of the ladies' room. And boy, it looked realistic. There was one there was you might have thought that Aniston was a mini Frisco because they said one time this homeless guy was on the brick wall by our parking lot dropping a deuce. In another time, some homeless guy or whatever walked into the office there. I didn't see this, thank goodness. There was 2 different parts. I was in the service bay part, and I don't even know if I wasn't there that day, or I would have known, or I was out on the road. But in the office part, some guy walked through the back door and used the bathroom, and put his stuff all over it. The walls, the floor, the hall, and the women there that worked, the secretaries and stuff.
You know,
they had
Aniston is like one of the more violent. It's like one of the top 10 most violent towns in Alabama.
Yeah.
You know, what's funny is my cousins who live in Kansas City, which is a rough place too, with the gangs and stuff. They were trying to tell me, because I was telling them how rough Aniston was, and they were like, "You have no idea." They'd never been there. They'd never been to Alabama. They were trying to make me feel like I'm I live in Hazard County, and it's like there's places in the Anniston. There's a side of town where if you look like us and you walk in there, the cops will stop you. Like, what are you doing here? There was and I don't know if I should even say this. I won't say it. But there was a crime that was so bad that I can't even say.
Okay.
And a
Littering.
co-worker of mine, her
Jen
grandparents were the victims.
recently, Jen and I were in South. Recently, Jennifer and I were in South St. Louis, and I can tell you that's a bad place.
I think I told you my story before about my mom in East St. Louis, didn't I?
East St. Louis is the place I've always heard was
East St. Louis. Yeah,
it's over the bridge. It's over the bridge, and I'd heard about that. East St. Louis is like, and Gracie and I made the wrong turn, and we ended up getting off the off ramp in East St. Louis. And fortunately, we were scared, but fortunately, we were so close to the river that it was just kind of like it looked like Grand Theft Auto, like it was just overpasses and things. There wasn't any life there yet.
Well, when we were there we stopped at the gas station. There was some guy sitting on like a berm, like there was some railroad ties, and he was sitting there and just eyeballing us. And like, okay, whatever. And big black guy. And then coming down the road, I must have watched her for 5 or 6 minutes. I think it was a girl, but her hair, her face, her clothes were all the same color, like this dingy gray brown nonsense. And she started walking towards our car. By that time we were ready to go, so we just pulled out and left. But it's like, what the fuck is going on here? And that's when we were in East St. Louis. It's like we got gas in the wrong place at East St. Louis.
Why didn't you talk to me? I would have told you never stop in that. Never stop in it. Gas up in Missouri or Kentucky. Never stop in Illinois. Anywhere. Never stop anywhere in Illinois. What's the matter with you? You should know that.
I lived in Illinois for 2 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the one place that it was pretty peaceful in Rantoul,
Illinois.
Illinois.
But that was in the 50s.
Yeah, that was not in the 50s. We were. I lived on Elmendorf Air Force Base there in Illinois. The other place I stopped in Illinois was Metropolis, and they had a little statue of Superman and all that.
How did you find that piece of shit? Because Steve Jarrett told me. He was like, Vicky and I, we were going through there and we tried to stop there to see the Superman. We couldn't find it. And I'm like, what a dumbass. I bet I could find it pretty quick. So I go there this year. I finally took the exit because it said Superman statue. So I took the exit. And Dan, I could not find that son of a bitch anywhere. There was no, they tell you on the freeway, take this exit. But there's no signs or anywhere about where to get to the statue. And I gave up. And I'm like, Steve's right. That damn thing, I finally goggled it, and it's like, well, I see where it is, but shit, I would have found that without going up every single street of that city.
No, we found it very easily.
Oh, it's because you're retarded.
No. Okay, reverse that and think about it. But we found it easily because there was only one road in there, and it only one road through the whole town. And we stopped.
I went through the whole town.
Okay, fine. We stopped at the Superman Hotel that had the statue right there in front of it, and we spent the night there, and we talked to the girls that that were working that night, and they were really nice.
Did you
pee on a pleasant experience?
On the statue?
What's that?
Did you pee on the statue?
I always pee on every statue.
I thought that during the Summer of Love in 2020 that they tore it down because they thought that, because he was
no, I've peed on every statue from, I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere.
I've peed everywhere, man. I've peed everywhere.
I've been everywhere.
I climbed all the way to the top of the torch on the Statue of Liberty, and I peed all over everybody down there.
Was it Johnny Cash? I've been all the way to Tacoma, east of Alabama, Philadelphia.
Everywhere you go.
That's the Eagles, I think.
Look, I've been from
The other
Alaska to Georgia to Denver. I've been all over this country. I've been to all 50 states.
Oh, no, it was Steve Miller. Steve Miller was the all the way to Tacoma. Johnny Cash was I've been to Pittsburgh, Vicksburg, Pittsburgh, Smutsburg, every kind of burg.
You got to remember,
Go to those burgs.
Toccoa is the home of the Big Red One.
Yeah, and Bones.
Oh, I heard
And
that
Bones,
Red
yeah.
One movie's terrible. The one with The Rock, the Santa Claus movie now.
No, not that one, but the Band of Brothers movie that was on HBO, the series.
Toccoa is not the home of the Big Red One, the home of the 101st Airborne Division.
Yeah,
It's not,
yeah. The big red one was the first infantry.
Yep.
Yeah, because that was a movie back in the 70s or 80s.
Boy, when I was 7 years old, they made a movie about it, and I thought that I just remembered the Big Red One. I'm like, the Big Red One. Maybe it was about a Zeppelin. That's what I was
Yeah,
hoping.
Lee Marvin was in it?
Honestly, that's
Yeah.
what I thought, because that's where my mind was when I
Yeah.
was a kid like that. I was like, oh, maybe it's about a Zeppelin, a Big Red Zeppelin.
Yeah, there you
Wouldn't that be cool? I don't have a band
go. Red
called
Zeppelin.
Red
Yeah,
Zeppelin.
there we go. Yeah, they're like an old Russian band.
well, Dave, how did
Stop. Look at Spock. He's looking really drunk now.
no, how did Toccoa play into all that? Because they kept reference,
Yeah, 101st Airborne.
yeah,
The
they kept
101st Airborne Division.
referencing it in
Toccoa.
the movies.
And Ross from the Friends was like the DI or whatever.
No, he was like Lieutenant, whatever his name was,
Yeah.
Captain Sobel.
Captain Shithead, yeah.
But it was the 101st Airborne Division that trained at Toccoa
Yeah.
at the time, because their logo is like Corhi,
Yeah.
which is Corhi Mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah, Curry Mountain. Yeah, it's right here by my
But
house.
it's the 101st Airborne Division. It's got the eagle head with the airborne above it.
And it's barfing. It's got
Okay. We still have military guys that come, I haven't seen them in a while because I haven't
Where
been
the-
out in a while. But
That's where the 101st was born, and the 101st is a very active and
and that's where Dr. McCoy came from.
yep, the character and the actor.
Yeah.
And one of the last times I was out, they had a bunch of soldiers in the bar. It was a patio bar out there, and they brought their own liquor, and that was fine with even the staff didn't mind, because these soldiers were great guys, and they were pouring everybody shots, and they were partying, and we would buy them beers, and and they would buy their own beers, but they'd also pull out their liquor and pour it up for everybody and having a great time. The funniest thing is they got one of their soldiers was so drunk, and they're like, dude, you got to run the mountain in the morning. You better chill, and he's like, and they were laughing at him.
that's an annual event that happens in Toccoa. As they do the run, they do the run up Corhi Mountain.
Yeah.
Thomas Mason gave a laugh on our Facebook posts of this show, but I don't see him. You know what? I never did give him a link.
But no, they were great guys. It was fun. It was a fun night. I don't know if they're Marines, probably Army.
Army, probably, most likely.
Yep. They didn't have their uniforms on. They were in civilian gear.
I've been everywhere. Now you get that stupid song in my head.
So here lies Stinky Dave. He died from blank.
Stinky who?
Stinky Dave.
Stinky Dave.
Country music.
Yep.
He's something to die from, I tell you that.
Yeah.
So here lies Stinky Dave. He died from.
It could only be country music. Yes, more people floofy from country music than heart disease every year.
You know, with these self-driving cars, it's only a matter of time before somebody sings a song about his truck lefting too. So
Yeah.
Yep.
I like that picture, the one that Tony posted for our event because of Gottschalk's Darth Vader cat. It's pretty cool.
Ah,
So here's my answer. Here lies Stinky
He
Dave.
was. I complimented him, and he's just going to totally ignore me.
Yeah.
I've never complimented you
We'll
before.
talk some more about it.
all right. What was it?
Here lies Stinky Dave. He died from cartwheeling into traffic.
Oh, okay.
Who?
Okay.
The
So,
Raunty one.
anyways, yes,
Stinky Dave. What?
I had my Darth Vader mask on, and I thought I'd do Darth Vader disguising himself as a cat.
Right.
I
right.
thought it was pretty cool.
Stinky
I like
Dave
those
died in
costume
a
on costume things.
Stinky Dave died because he couldn't escape the porta potty.
Ah. No, that's a new thing now. Is the automatic litter boxes, cat litter boxes? They have
We
like
have
power
one.
doors on them, and they will kill a cat because they're not made right.
My gosh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
That's awful.
Yeah.
That's
Well, ours
horrible.
don't have
That's
automated
depressing.
doors, so we're
Yeah.
okay.
I don't even like cats, but that's what a way to go when they're just trying to do their duty. And
Yeah.
good grief, it's terrible.
So be careful what you buy off Amazon. Because what I
Yeah.
hate is all the brand names are they just took a spoonful of alphabet soup and okay, oh, this is a brand, flibber thing. And people
Yeah,
are
the
complaining
weirdest is
about like buying like a package of like 4-amp fuses and running 10 amps through it they didn't blow.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, no, that could cause problems.
Yep.
Because was it? Why did you put a penny in the fuse panel? Fuses blow, Captain. Pennies don't.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the funniest lines from Star Trek. That was a good one. You all did a great job, except for never mind. I won't say
Except for that guy.
that one guy.
And somebody's got pictures from an old airport or a bus station with a chair with a little TV set that was coin operated. Now, I actually remember those.
I do too. I was at the
Really?
bus terminal in 1983 in Denver, and it was the Monkees. I put in the coin, and I was watching the Monkees on that black and white TV, and then the taxi came that my mom called for me and Darren, and it was my first ride and only ride in an actual checker cab.
Oh, yeah.
And we went down that beautiful. There's not much beautiful in Colorado, but that one beautiful boulevard, the Parkway. I don't know if it was 13th or Moncrief. It was one of those. It was just beautiful, and it was early in the morning, and it was a good memory. I didn't have many of those from that place.
Okay.
As I
And
remember
in
about the
fact,
checkers, you sit in that seat and your feet almost don't touch the ground. It's so like cartoonishly big back there.
Yeah.
I don't remember. There was a black guy driving it, and it had a dent in the door.
Ah.
That's about all. The only thing I really remember. I remember riding in it. I don't remember much else, but it is a memory. And you know that those cars became extinct shortly after that, so I got to ride in one just in time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think 82 was the last year.
Yeah, I didn't ride in a lot of those taxis.
No.
Well, they were pretty solid cars from what
Very.
I
Yeah, they look
remember.
kind of like 55 Chevys, you know, kind of.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of neat. Well, they made that body
Do
style. Like
we want to talk
58,
about
and they-
Netflix's horrendous live show?
Horrendous live show?
I said, do we
Isn't
want to talk
everything on
about
Netflix
Netflix's
horrendous?
horrendous live show last Friday night?
Oh, the
Sure.
old fat guys playing patty cake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only
the one-
Putt really. I
watched it. Yeah.
accidentally watched it because some live streamer was like, had kind of stream sniped
You
it
can
or
watch
whatever.
it from what I'm
Dave
Yeah, the-
Gottschalk only watched it to see Tyson's nude badunkadunk.
No, Tyson's butt. No, it was a horrible
Anyway,
fight.
I woke up the next morning to find out, Jake Paul, beat Mike Tyson on an unanimous decision. So,
I have not heard one good thing about that. I didn't watch it. I don't do sports, but I haven't heard one person say that was a worthwhile evening.
Well, it was a terrible fight, and it was scripted.
Well, evidently that I don't keep up with it. Evidently, the Orange Man is huge into some other kind of wrestling.
Yeah.
Well, he likes.
Kickboxing or something. I don't understand it. I don't understand any of it. But evidently he's huge in it, and that's where he was, and that was supposedly a better show.
Yep. He and Joe Rogan were at a real fight.
I can't stand that guy.
A real MMA fight with John Jones. Because one of the things that clued me off that the whole thing was fixed was whenever they were coming in and you're talking about the audience and all that, they showed the audience and who paid this and who paid that. There was no Donald Trump. There was no Joe Rogan. That means that those guys knew better, because usually Donald Trump is at the big events. You know what I mean? Because he likes fights. I mean, and the two of them were at the MMA fight with John Jones, which was a good fight. And you know, they knew better.
The thing is, people they criticize the Orange Man because he had Hulk Hogan and Kid Rock and these people, and I'm just like, well, evidently they weren't paid $10 million like
To play patty cake and then make out afterward.
Yeah,
that was the funniest part. After the fight, they're practically like, what the hell are they doing?
Well, part of the problem is
I don't watch that stuff.
We know. We know.
Thing.
You don't need to explain.
There's the one that tried to turn me on to Joe Rogan. I mean, I found out he was the guy from Fear Factor, which I saw a couple episodes of. I wasn't really a fan. And I'm like, I don't understand it. He was just saying he's the bee's knees, and I don't get it. I do not get why he's the biggest of them all, and why Spotify paid him $200 million. I don't get it. He's boring. He's not entertaining.
You're just mad they didn't ask you, Timmy.
Ask me to what?
Spotify give you $200 million in order to be a.
Hell, I'd be fine if I'd have a song that was more popular than the one that Steve Jarrett sang on. But that's beside the point. I would like to get some. I would like to get some.
Yeah, me
a
too.
little bit of respect and notoriety in spite of it, but that's not the deal. I don't get what the draw is about this guy. He's not entertaining.
No, he's a very good interviewer. That's one of the first things. And when he interviews somebody, he either asks them questions and let them explain themselves, or if it's about fighting, he knows fighting very well, because
maybe that's it. I hate fighting. The thing is like, he would not interview the Orange Man ever. He said he didn't want to boost his life in any way. He said that basically, and then what? He endorses him the night the election happens, before the election. It's like a little bit late. You don't get to join the Trump train that easy.
Well, why not?
It's a little bit late. Everybody's already voting already, and it's like, yeah, I think I'm going to endorse it. What the?
Well, that wasn't the night of the fight.
I'm not talking about the stupid fight. I'm talking about the election. It was the night before the election he finally endorsed him.
I misspoke. That was not the night of the fight. It was.
It wasn't. It was the election. It was the night before
the election. It was not the night. It was not the night before the election.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Look it up.
The
because half the people, like myself included, it's like, what good does that do?
Well, he spent 3 hours with Trump talking.
Yeah, but that wasn't the endorsement. He was going to give 3 hours to Kamala too, and she declined because he wasn't going to go to her and build a fake studio like that porn person did.
Okay.
Anyhow. How about them?
Tony, why did you get us into politics?
You ever seen a butterfly so big that it could pick you up?
Mothra.
Yeah.
Neither have I.
So when I was like 4 or a little kid, I was in the backyard, and I think it was the first close-up I've ever had of a butterfly. I think it was a big orange one, and it flew in my face, and I'm like, ah! And so I put that in the new film. When Terry has his first discombobulation, he goes into the backyard, and he's trying to come to, and this butterfly flies in his face, and he does it. And that's exactly where I was standing, and that's the exact butterfly that flew in my face, and that's the exact sound I made. There's so much in this film that's either came from dreams or real life experiences.
Somebody has a see and say.
Oh, we went to a Mongolian barbecue, and they had this paper menu thing. On the back of the menu, they had like this circular thing with these different animals.
Oh
And
yeah,
I don't know if there were dates with
yeah,
the like months or something.
years.
And Gracie got so yeah, I guess they were. Gracie got so mad because I'm like, it's a stupid see and say, and I'm just like, you know, I'm the this, and I'm just like, I'm the, and she got so mad at me.
Well, did you like the Mongolian barbecue?
I didn't. She did. It was in a strip mall near where we lived.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It was okay. I couldn't forget the see and say. It was, and I guess the only redeeming thing about that place, other than the see and say story, is she went in to get something, some takeout or something, and Josh and I were waiting in the car. And Josh, keep in mind, he's 5 or 6 years old. So this well-dressed white guy, young guy, hair kind of slicked back, looked almost like the guy that Tony was talking about that does the food reviews. Well-dressed, he walks out, very prim and proper, like the Blue Boy, you know. That's what he looked like, the Blue Boy. So he walks out and he goes into the Walgreens next door. And he said, we're waiting there so long. And then he comes out with cartons of eggs and starts walking back in there. I'm like, huh, interesting that he works for this restaurant and goes next door for the carton of eggs. I wonder what that's all about. And Josh said he's probably going to start throwing them at people. And I just thought that was one of the funniest things because I picture everything.
Yeah.
I pictured this skit where this well-dressed guy walks out of the store, buys the eggs, comes back and just starts throwing them. I don't know. I thought it was funny, you stupid.
It is funny.
It is funny.
Oh.
Yeah. It's funny. I'm
You mean
laughing
like
on the
that? Like this milk smells funny?
What?
That's more peculiar, not funny.
Yeah, but that's your town that you like so much.
I
Well,
didn't say I like. I hate that town. Did you see? You heard the latest news? They won't let her put a trailer on her property or one of those or a modular. They're like, oh, you can't put that on. Maybe if you lived way on the outskirts, you could. Not only did they make her level her house because of smoke damage, but now they won't let her replace it with anything affordable. Those F word, cocksucker.
You can say that word. The
Satanists.
CW word you can say.
Yeah,
The CW word.
I don't have any good wishes for Peculiar. And you know, when Jerry was still alive, he had nothing good to say about the city of Peculiar. That's all he talked about was what assholes they were.
Is the city song "Ain't That Peculiar"?
Well, the thing is she didn't live in Peculiar. She lived outside of it, and then Peculiar engulfed her property. And supposedly she was grandmothered in. And then when it all happened, you're not grandfathered in anymore. That's kind of not how it works.
Yeah, our town did that crap too. It was you're grandfathered in for your existing structures, but if something happens to that structure and you got to build a new structure, you got to build it to the new code.
Yeah, but that's not it. That they made her tear down her structure, and it was only smoke damage except for the garage.
Yeah.
I'm just the whole thing really pisses me off. It's none of their business.
Yeah.
So what? Maybe she wanted to live in a smoke damaged house and would get lung cancer. She's 83 years old. Who cares? It's none of their business. It really makes me angry. Oh, I sent the. So here's the thing. I went to Shutterfly, which is like now an Amazon company, and I printed out pictures of my tour of her house to give an album to her for Christmas.
Oh yeah, how'd that work out?
Oh, you remember this was last week.
Yeah.
So it said it was delivered. And I go out to the mailbox in the middle of our show and it's not there. It's nowhere. I went out the next morning, it's still nowhere. I'm pissed. So who's got all of my pictures of my cousin's house and that one naked picture of me in the mud?
Yeah.
It's like, so here's the thing. I called Shutterfly on the phone and I told them the situation. They're like, well, let me look it up, the status. And she's like, oh, it shows it's delivered. Like, yeah, but it's not. She goes, have you asked your neighbors? Like, I said, sure, yeah. Like, I'm going to go to my neighbor's house and ask if they got my pictures. And she's like, okay, well, we take care of you. And guess what they did?
What?
They redid my pictures, and I got it priority mail from California and got it 2 days later.
Ah.
But here's the thing. It was the next day. I'm actually got my shoes on and everything else. I'm ready to go to town to run my errands, and I was going to go to the post office as part of my errands, and of course I couldn't do that. I'm like, well, let me check the mail on my way out. It was there. So that's when I called my cousin, and I was trying to ask, and I talked to her for, one of the daughters for quite a while, and I put the album together and sent it out. And then the next day my other envelope came. So it said it was delivered, and it wasn't. So I got 2 sets of pictures. But I recommend Shutterfly because they really took care of me. They did a good job of.
Yeah.
Even though
It's weird. So it says it was delivered, which is nonsense.
Yeah, and that's my thing. Is she even looked at the status and she says it shows delivered, so it's not me in my imagination.
Yeah, no. Once again.
So I don't know what the deal was with that. And they put it in the mailbox. It's not like I don't know what happened, but now I got 2 sets of pictures. So maybe if another cousin gets jealous and wants them,
Wait, is that the post office put it in the mailbox?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because it's actually illegal. It's actually a federal offense if, say, UPS or FedEx put something in your mailbox.
Well, now they got deals with the post office. They can do that now. In fact,
they're still under the auspices of the thingamajig.
Something like that, but
because I get that sometimes, it'll be like FedEx Express or something like that. Well, the FedEx will deliver it to the local post office and then they'll drive it over.
Well, I think Amazon's put stuff in my thing if it's small enough. I'm okay with it as long as I get
it. No, it's just that technically it's a federal offense.
Yeah.
Putting anything in a mailbox that is not U.S. mail.
But also we can turn a tag off a mattress too.
No, that's only the store. Because now the tag says not to be removed except by consumer.
Ah.
Okay.
Because people got tired of all the jokes. That's like some comedian's entire thing is just that. And going back to the 50s and 60s. The Shecky Green types who had like, God rest his soul, I think. But, no, I think he finally passed away at like 97 or some damn thing. These guys, they just live forever.
No, never. That's the thing.
Devil doesn't want them.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Wendy, I didn't see you down there in all lowercase. Hey, Wendy Lou who?
Welcome, Wendy.
Gottschalk's asleep and Timmy stepped away.
I'm trying to get to that chat area. I don't know what happened to it.
What? Oh, speaking of mailboxes, remember I told you people keep batting my mailboxes?
Yeah.
So what it is it's not that. I think it's the assholes next door backing into my mailbox out with their stupid trucks.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Stupidity rather than maliciousness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is a few years ago, people were stealing all of our mail like every day. In Amazon packages and all this other stuff. To the fact where I had 2 neighbors that ended up having like the locking mailboxes after that.
Oh, yeah.
We think it was some kid.
Probably. Because I saw another post on Facebook that was, I've seen it before. It says if you have a bunch of junk to get rid of, just put it in Amazon boxes and stick it on your porch.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a good idea. Oh, it's so funny. Big John from Treble Clef, he was over here. Speaking of Ron Jeremy lookalikes, he fixed my sink that's been broke for my kitchen sink. The drain basket was broke for like a year and I couldn't use it. And he came over and we fixed it. He fixed it. And what just brought this up? Oh, the Amazon, oh yeah. Since I don't have trash pickup, there's these things that I couldn't get rid of, like my beach umbrella that's rotted and some styrofoam things that my console in the Mustang came in. And And I asked him if he could take it, and he took it with him. Isn't that nice?
Yeah, that's nice.
That's the one thing about not having trash pickup is when you once in a while get things that you can't really burn and you can't really get away with stuffing it in the Walmart trash.
Yeah.
But other than that, I've pretty much gotten my money's worth by canceling my trash pickup. That was almost $400 a year.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, I got my health insurance bill. I think I probably mentioned this. It's covered. I've got it's all subsidized and all that great stuff. But the bill before the subsidies and everything, for one old guy who hasn't seen a doctor since 1989, the insurance is $750 a month.
What?
Wow.
You don't have to pay that out of
I
pocket.
don't know. I pay nothing. It's all subsidized. But it means it's just going from one pocket to the other. But for God's sake, when
That's
I was
crazy.
paying for health insurance through my old job, it was like $40 a paycheck.
Yeah, because I got the corporate insurance, and it's nothing like that. And it might be that, I
I guess because it's not, a group plan. It's not through work or anything.
I gotta say, every year they press us with the United Way shit, and they did this again. I'm like, oh, here's my opportunity, and I finally found the website where I could do things, and I canceled my United Way and just, because it's United Way, but it's also other organizations that they umbrella.
Yeah.
And I had put 3% to United Way, and I finally got rid of that 3%. And my other organizations are Catholic Charities, Children's Cancer, and Big Brothers Big Sisters. So I just put 100% of it to that. I believe in all of those.
Yeah, well, the thing with charities is you got to want, because some of them, 90 cents of every dollar goes to administrative and
well, that's kind of a given, but
That's the way United Way is.
But I haven't had a bad experience with those three charities.
Yeah.
But United Way I have, because when Gracie became when her spinal problem became a problem where she couldn't work anymore, and she called United Way, they told her she was the wrong color.
Oh, geez.
So it's like I really had nothing to do with them since then.
One of the last places I worked, not the government, but right before I left Colorado and came here, was a place called Nelnet, and they managed student loans. Pretty much your only health care options were high deductible at $2,000 or some other ridiculous amount, per month.
Oh, they put my deductible from 3,000 to 3,500 now. But go ahead.
Yeah, they put mine at like over 2,000. And one morning I was supposed to have a procedure to check my heart, and they called me up before that and they said, "Well, you realize you got to pay 2,000 for this." And I said, "But I've got I got health insurance," and they're like, "Yeah, but you chose the high deductible." And I'm like, "Fuck you! I just canceled the thing." I said, "This is ridiculous. I'm not paying it. Cancel the procedure. This is insane."
Well, to be fair, I don't think you really have to pay medical bills. I don't think they affect your credit as much as other stuff.
No, they don't. But it's like I'm still paying on one that I got sick on years ago. But yeah, they're ridiculous amounts, and it's all my debt is on my credit is all medical bills. There's no like.
Well, you do a lot of medical stuff, but.
I know I do.
I wonder, have you looked at and seen the actual, not what you paid out of pocket, but what your insurance has paid for all of your stuff? But I bet you'd be a millionaire.
300,000.
Yep.
That's all? Shoot,
Yeah.
like one operation, like from a few years ago, was 116.
Yeah, and it's gone up.
The thing is that, and I had 6,000 out of pocket max that year, so. So they showed me, this is it. This is interesting. When you do the pulse, or not pulse, what is it? Where you go through all your pre-surgery stuff. You have to do a lot of visits and tests.
Yeah.
It's like the $6 million man kind of stuff. And here's the thing. They give me this piece of paper. Here's what you're going to have to pay out of pocket. And it's $6,000. Okay, now we're going to take your blood pressure. Right. I mean, literally, they take your blood pressure right after showing you that bill.
Yeah.
Well, let's retake it. Let's retake your blood pressure one more time. Why didn't you take my blood pressure before showing that $6,000 out of pocket bill?
Right.
And when I went to the surgery that morning, they were like, "So how are you going to pay for that? We want at least a few $1,000s in advance." I'm in my pajamas. I had my chaperone with me. Well, Barb, my good friend, bless her soul, no, she's not, bless her heart, that took me there. We wasn't even daylight yet, and they're like, they didn't even say that in the pulse thing. That would have been a nice thing to know. Oh, by the way, have a couple $1,000s in your pocket when you go up to the front. They didn't say that.
No.
Fortunately, one of us was able to cover it. I think Barb did, and I just paid her back, something like that. But the one good thing I did is with that out of pocket, it was that when we had our open enrollment the previous year, it said critical illness insurance, a supplement insurance with a different company. It wasn't a lot, and like, you know what, I think I'm just going to do it. And I did it, and I put in a claim. I just showed the doctor report, and the next thing they didn't even get back to me. It was an email saying it's been deposited in your account, and there was $7,500 deposited. It covered everything. So I made like a $1,500 profit on having my stomach taken out. I shouldn't say stomach taken out because some people actually have that happen. So,
yeah, it's no fun.
No.
I don't know, but somehow they still get around. Okay. I mean, a friend of mine had her entire intestine, her entire colon taken out. Evidently, I said, the only difference I've felt really since I've healed is the spicy food.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when I had mine, the reason that they had to cover it all, because when I had the stroke, I was completely incapacitated, and they had to come get me. You know what I mean? And they ran me up to the hospitals, and they said, well, blah 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 blah, this and that. And then 4 months later, I'm still in the hospital, recovering from the shit. And it's just, they didn't have much of a choice. I mean, as far as, what are we going to charge you? Can you do any of this or that? No, it was all, by that time, it was all covered by disability, because, you can't go through a substantial stroke like I do and become hemiplegic, and then them say, oh, you owe us something. You know what I mean? Not once I've been on disability, they approved me for disability, and I was on Medicare and all that kind of thing. They had to do what they had to do, and that's still the way it is now. When I go in, I had to pay. I don't even pay, but I mean, it's a Medicare deductible, and
you're lucky with that. I mean, I kind of pictured you having a stroke and having to drive yourself to the hospital, because
I couldn't have done it. I was out of it.
It just reminded me of back in the late '80s. My mom and I were driving back from the beach, and there was this person in front of us that was weaving all over the road. Like, look at that drunk son of a bitch. And finally, they just like pulled over, and I told my dad about it, and he was a little bit taken aback by it, and he didn't say anything. I'm like, I was still thinking about your experience with that, and then it made me think about it, and I'm like, oh shit, maybe they were having a medical issue, but and we were just thinking they were drunk, and now it made me feel bad. We should have, but that was before cell phones and stuff. It was such a different time. Well, yeah, I remember Darren and I were, and this was afterwards, years afterwards, Darren and I were driving in our work van and going down the boulevard, and we saw this side road, and right at the intersection, there was this car parked right in the middle of the intersection, and the door was open, and this woman was hunched over. I said, what the hell was that? I said, let's turn around. We turned around, and we scrambled back and saw it, and she was just like looking for her keys or something, and it was okay. But it made me feel good that, well, finally at least done the right thing.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And my friend Jack Porter, you remember him?
Yeah.
When I was roommates with him, we were watching the news, and so there was a guy. They said a man was shot here at this thing, and Jack just kind of got cold. I'm like, what's the matter? He says, that's right by my work. He says he was leaving work and there was a guy in his truck kept honking his horn at him. And he ignored it, thinking the guy is drunk or this, and that was the guy that was shot trying to get attention.
Oh,
So, you know, we can't beat ourselves up over it, but we can hope that it's a learning experience, and that
yeah. It's hard
you
to
know,
tell sometimes.
use that as a reference and not do that again. And
Yeah.
you know, that's all we can
Right.
do.
Yep. Well, the night I had mine, Jennifer noticed it first. I couldn't talk straight. My whole left side was drooping, and I said, "No, I'm fine. I'm fine. I just need to rest." And I went back to the bed and I tried to rest, and then I said, "I got to pee," so I tried to get up to pee, and I couldn't walk. And I said, "I just need my shoe, some slippers or some shoes, and I can get to the bathroom." Because my feet were sliding all over, is what I thought. And she goes, "Mark, no, we need to call somebody." And I said, "No, I just need to stand up." And I couldn't stand up, and I couldn't do anything. And they finally called the people. And long story short, they things unfolded the way they did. The only thing I was disappointed about is when I was going to Gainesville to the hospital, and they said, "Oh, they'll fix you right up." They're gonna,
Jimmy, are
go
you
inside. They're gonna go inside and remove the clot and all that kind of thing. And then I got into the MRI, and they said, "We can't remove the clot. It's too small and it's too deep in your brain, and it's like that could kill you." And I'm like, "Oh shit!" So that's what began the whole
Well, thank God for
process.
Jen that was able to.
Oh yeah.
Now, I was almost ready to call Jen a couple days ago. I even privated Tony there because, can I say this?
Yeah, go
Out
ahead.
of nowhere, Putt says the Star Destroyer would win. That Klingon ship is not even the right size. It would get one volley if it decloaked, and that would eat it. And I said, "You all right, Putt?" Because that was out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It was part of no conversation.
It was
Said,
funny.
when
I
I
was
eat
responding.
cabbage, I can make a dookie talk. And he said, I get night pain headaches from Slim Jims. And Tony says, "No idea." And Putt laughs. I said, "You feeling okay, Putt? You're talking weird." And he said, "I think I'm asleep." And I said, "Okay, you got me worried there." He said, "You're okay." And he said, "You punched a hippo in the dick." And I said, "You shouldn't be doing that. They fart really bad." And I just thought it was funny, but it had me worried. I'm like, "Where is this? What are you doing? What are you doing, Putt?" You had me
No, I
worried.
was
I
just
was really
joking.
worried. I thought you were having another stroke or something.
No, I was responding to a different thread that Gottschalk and I were in, but I responded to the wrong thread. Gottschalk there was a picture of a Star Destroyer and some Klingon ship face to face, and I was commenting on that at
Well, why
first.
didn't you say so? I called the police and everything.
That's funny. But no, then after that, I realized, oh, I was in the wrong thread, so I just decided to go. I decided
Oh, I
just
did that
to go-
once, even worse than yours.
I just decided to go random and see what I could do.
So our friend Molly, who never watches this shit, so
Yeah.
it's okay to say this. Her husband, 6, so he's a good friend of ours too, and who we miss because he's no longer with us. But so he wrote me up and said, "Timmy, I got some bad news." I'm like, "What happened?" He said, "Molly left me." I'm like, "Oh, that's terrible." And so he was kind of confiding in me, and he was trying to find a place to stay. And I'm like, "Well, Gracie," and I asked Gracie, I said, "Could 6 stay here a little bit? He's having trouble with this and that." And she's like, "Well, sure." The problem is he had an RV, and we lived in a association subdivision kind of thing where you couldn't have it. I'm like, "You can, but you'd have to find a place to park it. You can't park it in the yard." And he's also got a giant bull mastiff. I'm like, "The problem is we got a bull mastiff too." And he understood that they're very jealous animals. Jeannie was the most jealous creature I've ever seen, and evidently so was Stefan theirs. So that kind of canceled it out. But we both, Gracie and I were welcoming him. We just had that problem. But we had been talking all day, and all of a sudden I was at the video ranch with him and Molly. I don't know why he was even there with her at that crossroads. But I thought I was talking to him privately, and I had it public. And Molly was like what? It wasn't horrible, but it was embarrassing. It was just like,
Yeah.
all out of nowhere. Well, Molly shouldn't be such a bitch to you. And I'm like, it wasn't like that. It wasn't bad, but it was embarrassing. I'm like, oh shit, because that video ranch chat, the private and the public was very
Close to it, yeah.
close. Yeah.
If anybody's used Active Worlds, you know what we're talking about.
Yeah. It's like a video. It's like a Second Life. I never played Second Life, but I guess that's the most mainstream version of it. But this was made by Michael Nesmith of the
Beach Boys, yeah, the Beach Boys.
I really wasn't kidding there. I was like, of the monkeys. Hey, Gottschalk, I've got a question for you.
I'm listening to you, believe it or not.
Have you
So Gottschalk knows what I'm talking about with the Klingon ships and the.
usually when I go into voice, it's Gottschalk that just interrupts.
It's there's a bit in progress.
Isn't that ironic? Usually it's Gottschalk that interrupts my little performances. And this time I directed it at Gottschalk where he couldn't interrupt, and then Putt does.
What did I do?
You interrupted my bit. I was doing a Beatles thing with Gottschalk.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. So Gottschalk, John, he got away because he was scared off by Putt. So my question is, I don't remember what he was asking you. He's not paying attention anyway. Hey, Putt.
I'm listening to your bit.
You weren't supposed to. It was Gottschalk that was saying it. Never mind. I don't know what I'm doing. It's okay. Just trying to make a show here. Well,
guys, as usual, my time on the show is over.
It seemed like it was over like 5 or 6 minutes ago. You were just kind of, I could tell, because you just don't do anything.
Well, I'm just letting you guys talk, and I'm listening to you.
All right.
Why is your time over with us?
Because 10 o'clock is way late for me.
Well, it ain't 10 yet. It's not even 9:30.
Yeah.
Come on, you're not a schoolgirl. Come on.
So I will catch you guys next week or whatever we're going to do on the show. So.
Yeah, next week, well, we would probably be we're thinking of doing Transforama next week. And the next Tuesday is going to be my last day off in the foreseeable future. So the first week of December, we might just start the show like an hour earlier.
That'll work.
Hey, Gottschalk, when did you stay to the end of our show last time?
No, I left at like 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Man, by the time the show stopped, we had like 4 chatters from Transforama.
Yeah.
It just happened, like what, the last 15 minutes?
I left the show and all.
Huh? What?
I said, yeah, I left the show and all the chatters came.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at least started. It was baby steps.
Anyways, guys, have a pleasant day.
Oh, you too?
You too. Oh, God, now
You
it's
guys
just
can watch
Mimi
Putt
and
sleep
Tony.
there. And
Yeah, Putt's gone. But,
I'm fine. I'm right here.
okay.
You're looking down. See you guys, Chuck. Be safe. We'll see you next week, okay?
Yep, take care. Keep in touch. See, the problem with Putt is that you got to curl up that hat just a little bit so that you don't get the wicked effect.
You don't like that?
Oh, my gosh. We don't want him going off on everybody. I think social media is the worst thing that's ever happened to Hollywood. Where there's people, it's like at least could you imagine social media when John Wayne and
Oh
Jimmy
yeah, because
Stewart, all
back
those
then
people.
the studios would absolutely manage every aspect of the big stars' lives.
Yep.
Yeah, he didn't want them just telling everybody everything they
Oh
did.
hell
Now
no!
those
Everything was
people are-
filtered through PR.
Yep.
which would kind of be like I won't say a hell because I think that would be an okay lifestyle living in a mansion
Yeah.
and not worrying about eating and stuff. What you go out and you pretend to be somebody else for and make a living. That's not bad, is it?
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be kind of. But your personal life no longer exists.
Right. It's just
Right.
Part of
totally.
that's a hell of a trade-off.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, that was
And
how
it-
good old. That was how that movie L.A. Confidential started out. I don't know if you ever saw that.
I saw it, but I didn't
seen
understand it.
anything.
But this was back in the '90s.
Yeah, I remember the movie, and it was supposed to be really good, but I kind of lost. I was watching it, but I kind of lost it while I was watching it.
Yeah, it's a pretty complex plot. You really have to. There's the parts of it where you really got to pay attention. Otherwise, it's like, huh?
Uh-huh.
But then again, it had a lot of style, and so if you just want to watch a movie just to vibe, as the kids say,
Right.
and Kevin Spacey's a complete lunatic, but it's still very entertaining to watch on the screen.
He scares me.
Well, yeah,
You
I wouldn't
should.
want to be in a dark alley with him, but I mean, watching him in a movie, especially back then before all the weird crap all happened.
Yeah, I mean, he had those accusations, which you can believe or not, but it's like the people that accused him all like floofied in mysterious circumstances, like just a day before they were supposed to be in court, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then he starts doing these weird blogs saying kill people with kindness, and he's just smiling and does this thing by the fireside. It's weird shit. It's
Yeah, he's like
Hollywood
playing his
is
character
weird
from.
for a reason.
Yeah. It's funny. Family Guy predicted him years before that, where Stewie was running through this mall naked, and he said, "I just escaped from Kevin Spacey's basement."
Oh my gosh.
No, I'm serious. True Family Guy thing.
That's back when they were funny.
Yeah.
This became a political.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they could,
I think-
they could be political if they want, but don't be boring. Don't be
Yeah.
too, one-dimensional.
Yeah, that's what it became. They even got Rush Limbaugh as a guest, and
Yep.
and he said he was so surprised that Seth, whatever, was so surprised that Rush was a nice guy and not the devil. You
Yeah.
know, but he
Yeah.
still didn't change his tune. It's like.
Well, people on both sides are working themselves up into a connection.
They are.
And the thing is that there's
happened with
Go ahead.
when Hillary Clinton met Rush Limbaugh. She was like, he was so nice and he was so gracious, and she just couldn't believe it.
Well, he's basically a Rush is a comedian
yeah.
that had a basic good understanding of politics and what do you call it, a conviction with his principles and stuff, and that it made for a good mix. And he was the pioneer of talk radio,
Yeah.
because back then the conservative side, that's all they had was AM talk radio, which was like nothing. That's like, oh yeah, you can have the AM stations. And it ended up being a huge thing, because guess what? People, when they work and when they drive in their cars, they can listen to AM radio,
Yeah.
and it ended up starting a revolution.
Yep. But yeah, it's amazing how like stuff like Family Guy and The Simpsons predicted so much. And
Well,
yeah,
the Simpsons is like Nostradamus, because it's like got 400,000 episodes, so of course it can predict everything.
yeah, well, that's what I
It's
told.
like like a kaleidoscope puzzle. It's like, of course you're gonna connect the dots, because there's every dot ever made.
Right. And that's what I told Jen about. She was talking about Nostradamus. I said, Nostradamus was writing for his patrons. You know what I mean? Whoever paid him to write. And she's like, what are you talking about? I said, Well, back in the day that he lived, it was very prestigious for a royal or whatever to have some kind of cryptic book or whatever.
Yeah.
So Nostradamus would write these quatrains that you could apply to just about anything,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
and so they,
That's kind of, and believe it or not, I'm not a fan of Dr. Laura, but she's the one. After 9/11, a lot of people were calling in talking about the end of the world and Nostradamus, and she's like, "Look, he was a dentist, and he made all of these. He made so many, you know, what do you call it, blah blah blahs that you and most of them
quatrains,
you
yeah.
couldn't make heads or tails of,
Yeah.
and people just like to connect the dots and do this, and it's nothing to worry about. And it's like, oh, that's a pretty good thing to say.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't
Yeah.
heard of many people explain it that way. Most of the people are like, "Oh, Nostradamus," you know, and that made. So I'll give her kudos for that.
Yeah. And Wendy Lou says the lady at my church had her stomach removed and now has a feeding tube. Ow, boy.
Oh, hi, Wendy.
Hi, Wendy.
Well, I've got a good friend, not a good friend, but a friend from the theater that I see on Christmas parties, and she says her mother had her stomach removed, and she acted like nothing's really changed. She didn't say anything about a feeding tube or anything. She just so things can happen,
Yeah.
but I do think you get some kind of side effect. Like I said, having just a foot of my colon removed, it's like my spicy food. All of a sudden,
Yeah.
I got to be careful. So
Yeah.
like it doesn't get filtered like it used to. But yeah, hi Wendy. I'm glad you could join us. You missed Gottschalk. He just left.
Now, Wendy's been here a while. I said hello and then everybody ignored me as they always do.
Well, we always ignore you. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep. It's kind of like with Nostradamus. It's like Yogi Berra said it well.
Yeah.
The
Yogi
best. He
Berra.
goes,
Hmm.
Yogi Berra said, um, prediction is hard, especially about the future.
Okay,
Yeah,
do it in his
it was good.
voice. Do it in his voice.
No. See, Timmy didn't follow baseball. He was a baseball player. I think he was a player and a manager. Yogi Berra, Berra, Italian guy, New York. And he was great at coming up with sayings that they'd make sense. And then it's like, wait a second. It's like, okay, you guys, line up alphabetically by height.
Yeah, stuff like that. Somebody asked him, "What time is it?" He goes, "You mean now?"
Is that like the thing?
And he said, "Like, well, a couple of hours ago, it was 3:00."
Is that kind of like the jingle I made for Steve Jarrett that he never played? You're listening to the Steve Jarrett Morning Show, where every show's better than the next.
Yeah.
He never played it.
Yeah.
He was like so crying to us that he didn't have any material for his, and we're like, well, let's get together one day and we'll come up with stuff. And we came up with some funny stuff, and he never played any of it. I wouldn't mind being that plane, although didn't it crash?
That one didn't. That one's at Wright Patterson. The second one crashed because they were at they were doing a photo op. Oh, let's have all these planes together in a photo op. Yay, great. Boom. Fucking
Did they hit each other
F-104
like
flew
that?
into the tail of the thing.
Oh shit! Like that Flying Fortress a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
That was right after my ride that happened.
Yeah.
I took that ride the right time because they grounded those planes due to like a wing spur kind of thing that it ended up not affecting that plane, but
Yeah.
I don't think it's flown since.
Mm-hmm.
I heard it costs like $250,000 a year to keep that plane flying.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know where they get the
Crazy. It's
gas
like a flying
anymore.
museum. Do what?
Because in World War II, they had 130 octane aviation fuel. And that's what they ran on. And I don't think that's even exists anymore.
No, all the military stuff in the U.S. runs on the same fuel.
Yeah.
The thing is people don't. I didn't realize. Nobody does, I don't think, until you're close up to, and not even close up. This how strong those engines are.
Oh, yeah.
They just shake the ground, and you can feel the wind from them from 100 feet.
Oh, yeah.
They're crazy big and powerful. And boy, what an experience! I'm sure glad that, because I got ad blockers on Facebook, so I don't see ads. But I had it on my phone. I was out on the swing, on my drinking night, scrolling down, and I could see ads because I didn't have the blockers, and that was an ad to ride in the Flying Fortress. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
this came to Georgia before, and I regretted not doing it. So why don't I sign up? And boy, I'm glad I did. What an experience! It was amazing. Tony did it too.
Nope.
You did too, Tony?
No.
Oh, I thought you said that you. Oh, you just tried one out for size or something.
Yeah, I walked through the B-17 that was in the TV show 12 O'Clock High. I walked through that, and I couldn't even get near the pilot's seat. I mean, I walked right up to, I couldn't even see how somebody could get into it.
Well, evidently the one I was in Tora Tora Tora. What color was yours?
I think it was green, and it was
Okay, yeah, this was silver, but it was like.
late
thing
war,
that I
like
was-
44. They decided to just save weight by just leaving the paint off because who cared?
It makes sense. To me, the coolest thing is before that we got on the plane, they were telling us how to work the seat belts, and we had to demonstrate that we knew how to work them. A fake like a seat belt in our hand, standing out there, and he goes like, "I need a volunteer." And some guys raise their hand. Okay, I need you to man the. There it is. That's the plane I was on. I took that video. I had the GoPro against the bench, and this guy there was like, sit. So they wanted another volunteer, and I'm like, I'll raise my hand. He says, I need you to help the pilots. So I got to sit in the cockpit for takeoff,
Yeah.
and I had to hold the camera above my head to get out the window to get. So I wasn't actually seeing that. The camera was because I was like way down. And it was just amazing. I've always loved those planes and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So we're going. This is St. Simon's Island, Georgia,
Oh, okay.
and I'll do the theater, the projector. That was pretty good, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm going up into the dome thing,
Oh,
Chrome
yeah.
Dome. Yeah, and then see, they wanted us to go feel out the whole plane and go to each different station. So that's the gunner bay thing in the front. And I
Bombardier.
was scared here because you're just over nothing.
Oh yeah. Well, at
And
least
I
they
can't
weren't shooting at you.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I can't imagine what the guys went through that were in battle.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to make your peace with God because I don't. Oh my gosh!
the
And I grabbed something just to hang on to, and it was like the gun or something. I'm like, oh, I might
don't do
just
that.
shoot because that's how the plane was. They were like, if you see cables, don't grab onto them because it'll actually turn the rudder. I mean, it was a
right.
plane
Yeah, there's
that
no
was
wasted
nothing.
space.
Yep, there was no retrofitting.
And I
And
walked
it
through
was
that. I
so
don't know
ex-
how the hell I was able to do that, to squeeze through that catwalk through the bomb bay.
It was
With
almost
that-
like a keel in a Zeppelin. It was really
Yeah.
weird. And then this guy's like, look up there, go up there. And I'm like, whoa. And
Because the United States Army 8th Air Force lost more soldiers, more personnel, as a percentage than any other unit I think in all the U.S. military.
yeah, did you ever see the Heavy Metal movie? He's like, here, let me take a picture of you. That's my profile picture on Facebook. And look at this. Look at this. Isn't that crazy? It's like being on top of a Zeppelin. It was
Yeah.
so weird. I ended up going over that bridge on the way back. What an experience. I'm so glad I did that.
That's
where I
cool.
was- and we had to position ourselves in a place and stay there from here on, so I wasn't able to leave.
Yeah, you don't want to screw up the way. Because if I did one of those things, I'd probably have to. I don't know if I could even go down to the bombardier area and all that. Because those guys were so small back
We couldn't go to the tail
then.
gunner place because and everybody when we were going down the landing was so smooth you could barely feel it. And when we were going down the tarmac, all these people in the different restaurants and things had their cameras out taking pictures and
Oh,
videos
yeah.
of us. But yeah, what a thing! I'm so glad that that happened because that's a once in a lifetime thing. Like I said, I would never had the opportunity again.
Yeah, well, that's
And kind
that's
of what brought it up is a month or two later, some air show,
yeah, Texas
some turds were
Raiders.
flying. They were flying multiple airplanes all together, and one of them ran into that damn thing, and they killed several people. They weren't flying passengers, thank goodness, but it was still. What a dumb. These are 80-year-old planes. You don't need to be doing acrobatics with them. With
Well, they
other
weren't even
planes.
doing acrobatic. They were just flying around in a pattern. But the flight, I think the traffic control fucked up, and the guy in the fighter just turned left when he should have turned right, or vice versa, and just sliced right through the fuselage, right behind the wing. But that was a plane called Texas Raiders. That's not this one.
Well, stuff happens, accidents happen, but it's still.
But it was a screw up. It was a very bad screw up, and it's kind of indicative of people not taking stuff quite as seriously as they need to.
It's a screw up, but automatically when I saw the video, I'm just like, you shouldn't have two 80-year-old planes in the air like that close together. That's my thought.
Yeah,
and like you
well,
said,
that's what I mean. It was traffic control. They shouldn't have been
Traffic
anywhere
control.
close to each other at all.
Okay.
Yeah. But
Well, so
and
it's
not
one of
only
those
80-year-old airplanes, but planes that weren't designed to fly for more than a few months.
Out of
They
all,
weren't really built to last. They were pumping them
they're
out
disposable, huh?
pretty much.
But even something disposable from 1940 is a heck of a lot more mainstay than something that's supposed to be mainstay nowadays.
Yeah.
Hey, Pud, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
We were just talking about my plane ride.
Yeah.
I was listening to your plane story. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just that you're kind of head down. I was kind of worried a little bit.
No, and you said that the thing cut the fuselage right in front of the wings,
After the wing, yeah.
after the wing, and
Yeah.
it was a fighter plane. And,
P-63, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it hit us, and you can see it's about ready to happen. Boom! There I go.
Not funny.
Now you could see. Well, you can't see it, but there was a shadow of the plane on the water, which is kind of neat when I was looking
yeah.
out the nose.
Yeah, I've
No,
never
I
been up in
grabbed
one of
something
the...
that
Oh,
I
sorry.
grabbed something and let go because I was pulling something, and I'm like, oh shit! I'm actually pulling something. I don't want to be
Yeah.
shooting things.
Well, the guns don't work.
Well, yeah, you had to convince me because everything in that plane was so damn authentic.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been surprised if the gun went off. Honestly.
Really.
No, the probably the coolest plane I've ever been in was a DC-3 that was operated by the Federal Aviation Administration, and they were calibrating navigational aids at Hilo Airport. And so they would fly back and forth, and they would compare what the instruments in the plane were saying versus what the radar on the ground was saying. So it was just kind of just flying back and forth. But it was, it was a DC-3, and it was the big round motors, and it was fun.
That's Yankee Air Museum in Detroit or Michigan or whatever. They're the ones that own this aircraft, and they've also got rides in a DC-3, Apache copter, and B-25 Mitchell.
Oh yeah,
And I think this is the coolest though.
yeah.
I think the Apache copter would be. I got to sit in them because when I went to Sandalwood in Florida, the school with no windows,
Yeah.
The Army came to our school with their stuff. They had a Humvee in the yard and an Apache copter, and we got to sit in them. I remember sitting in the Apache talking to the people they were trying to recruit us. They seemed cool. It was a cool memory.
Yeah.
I didn't have many from that school. That was all right. And they had a car in the same courtyard that kids were killed in to tell us not to drink.
Oh,
And they actually had the car just sitting there.
yeah.
And I'm like, that's a pretty big dent.
These kids were killed on the flight line, or what?
No, it was a quinky dink that it was the same. The car, I think, was there a little bit before the Army came. They put a car where kids had floofied
Okay.
in the yard at school to kind of be a discouragement against drinking and driving.
Yeah.
And then they put the helicopters and the tanks and everything in the same yard. So it was an interesting thing. And I just remember talking to the Army guys, like, that's a pretty big dent in that car. He's like, yeah, it is. I just remember that conversation. I don't know.
Yeah.
Interesting times. That's back when they kind of cared. It was interesting because in marine biology class, there was this guy that kind of looked like a young Brian Adams, and he was kind of a troublemaker. And I remember him in math class too, and he told me this joke I'll never forget, and I won't say it because it's a long joke. But he seemed like a nice enough guy, but his brother was in marine biology class with me, and he kept telling me about all these car accidents he was in. I mean, this guy's in high school, yeah, and then he wrecked this car and wrecked this car. I'm like, gee whiz. So what happened is there was a huge story, one of the biggest stories in Jacksonville for a year, was some guy was going down the Arlington Expressway, this big expressway that went from the big bridge into town, and I guess he rolled a car and decapitated a girl that went to our school, and it was a huge story. And finally, I remember hearing from the story for months, and then finally they showed him in the sentencing in the court, and that was him, the guy that kept wrecking his cars.
Oh boy.
Jeez.
That's the guy that sat behind me in math class that told me the joke that his brother said kept wrecking, and he killed somebody. Oh my gosh. And it just makes you think, how does somebody allowed to drive to get in that situation if they've had that many accidents? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like,
Yeah.
I'm sure he would agree with me. If he'd have had his license pulled before all that shit happened. You know what I mean?
You think.
Good grief.
I mean, even if it's just nothing but a run of bad luck, I mean, okay, you had enough bad luck, so
Yeah.
you can catch a ride from now on.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, there's got to be a stopping point. And we're talking about 1989. That's like it's like a century ago. Might as well have been. There was no internet really. There was no cell phones. There was nothing then, like we've got now. We still use card catalogs for our Google search.
Remember that?
Married with Children was still on the air.
Well, they had cellular phones, but they're only in cars because it was still kind of a lot of equipment you had to carry along.
Well, technically, I remember in about 1974 or 75, around that time, I don't know who it was. My dad, because I guess the firemen had a union because they were workers. So it must have been a union boss because some guy pulled out in front of us and he had a Continental. And he gave us a ride in his Continental to Baskin Robbins. And that was the first time I've ever seen a phone in a car.
Mm-hmm.
So that was around 74, 75.
Right. That was
my mom. He had a telephone in his car. I mean, this was like something.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I'm assuming it was a Mark IV, but it might have been a Mark III because I called them clock cars because of the trunk thing.
Oh yeah.
I'm assuming it was a Mark IV.
Because before cellular technology, there were radio telephones in cars. Because generally, like private eyes on TV shows had them. Like Paul Drake had one in his T-Bird in Perry Mason, and they had those going back to the late 40s. And I saw a picture of a late 40s car with a radio telephone. The entire trunk was filled to capacity with all this tube-type equipment to run the phone.
I bet his was too.
Yeah.
Oh, you talk about all the tube equipment. That reminds
me. Oh
me.
yeah.
Listen to this.
God. He looks like a damn Tribble with a hat.
Oh my gosh. So anyway, this kind of pissed me off. So I posted when I moved to Colorado, when I'd quit McCord, I moved to Colorado, and somebody had posted. I found a picture of a 1970 Plymouth Satellite police car.
Ah.
And I'm a Mopar guy. I just posted on my Facebook. Boy, I'd love to have done an install on this because that's what I did for a living.
Mm-hmm.
And some asshole, he worked on the tower crew for our company, the radio tower crew. And he was saying, you wouldn't know the first thing about working on something like that. It's got so many wires, this and that. And I'm just like, I thought he was kidding, and I called his bluff. And he says, I'm not kidding. You blah, blah. And I'm just like, I just blocked him right there. Because he was being a drunk asshole, you know.
Yeah.
But it's like, I guess I could have kept going. I said, do you realize that's what I do for a living? You might not know what I do for a living, but I've worked on 1940 trucks. I've worked on Army cars, trucks. I've worked on all sorts of cars from the 60s. And
Was this on Facebook?
yes,
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right.
it was just some asshole from the tower crew.
See, this is what
Drunk
happens
son of a
when you
bitch.
don't
I
take
ended up
care of your
just
plant.
I kind of wish instead of blocking him, I would have called his, you know. But I think
Yeah, but that kind of stuff is you burn up so much mental energy for what?
Yeah, somebody said something stupid on movie chat today, and I felt like saying it. And I thought about what you said, and it's like you're watching homo s words, people rolling around with each other.
Yeah.
Do I want to join with that just because I disagree with one of them?
Yeah.
That's kind of how you want to look at it. I think it's just like kind of block them and let. Is that a Russian plane?
That is. It's Ilyushin and IL-62.
But
Is
didn't the Americans or English have a
English
plane like that with the four engines in the back?
Yeah, it was the VC-10.
Who made that?
That was. It's hard to keep track of British Air because it was like.
Oh, it was a British plane then.
Yeah, so it was Vic. It was
Tupolev-
yeah,
no,
that's right. It
Tupolev.
was Vickers before they merged with every other plane company in the world, but it had the four engines in back.
Caravelle. Who made caravels?
That was France. That was their Aerospatiale or something.
They're cool looking with the four jets in the back. That was really cool looking.
Yeah, I guess it'd be quieter too with all the engines way back there instead of out in the way. I don't know.
Oh, it reminds me of I was Darren and I were picking up its Cadillac.
Ah,
I traveled so much that couple of years. It's hard to keep track. But Darren and I were flying back from Missouri, and we had a stop in Chicago. And I told Darren, I'm like, well, tell you what, you take the window seat this time, and I'll take it after the connection. He's like, deal. So he had the window seat on the way to Chicago, and after Chicago to Florida, we had the very rear seat of one of those rear engine planes, and there was no window in the rear seat.
oh wow.
He's like, well, there you go. You can have the window seat. I'm like, yeah, fuck off. It's a funny memory now. The
Yeah.
memory is worth more than having a window seat.
Yeah.
I think that one of the coolest planes I was in was like one made in South America.
Embraer.
Huh?
Embraer.
I think that was it. It looks like it was like a little Learjet, but
Yeah.
it's a hopper. It was like a United Eagle hopper.
Right.
And I took that, and it's like got one seat on one row and two seats on the other. It's so small. And I think the absolute coolest jet I was ever in, like a passenger jet, was the Fokker 100 F100.
Yeah.
It was it looked like a DC-9, but about about half the size.
Yeah.
It is tiny. And that's the plane I was stuck in Austin for 6 hours on the tarmac
Good grief.
when they shut down the airport and everything. It was terrible. The pilot ordered pizzas. But the windows are kind of big, and it was just kind of a comfortable plane. For being stuck there for 6 hours, it wasn't too bad.
Well, as long as they can keep
that
the.
would have been a news story nowadays.
Oh yeah. Well, it all depends if they can keep the the air circulation, conditioning working.
Well, it was terrible. We were in there 6 hours, and our reward was in, well, the pilots they had their airtime. We're gonna have to just put you up in a hotel overnight. I was so pissed. That was the Australia trip. It had already effed up.
Mm-hmm.
And the worst part about it was the AAA agent who booked the trip. I hate her. Because I wanted to go the other way. You know, go through, make a stop in Africa and Europe and this and that and go that way. And she was like, we're not going to give you a trip around the world. She was just a bitch about it. And it was expensive then. This was in 1999, and it was $1,800 for the round trip.
Oh, yeah.
That was more money than you probably pay today, and that kind of pissed me off because she put me on this one itinerary, and it effed up my whole trip because of this storm in Dallas that ruined everything. Because I was a day behind. I wasn't able to see the Opera House at the daytime. I got there at night when everything was closed. I was able to walk around it, but I wasn't able to do anything.
Yeah.
It was just like they ruined everything. I should have haunted her down. If I had a floopy in that trip, I'd have haunted her down.
Yeah.
Like Putt. Look at him.
Oh, yeah. He's just a hat now. What a world. What a world. No, the funniest thing, I
knew it reminded me of something.
Yeah. No, I was stuck all day at Los Angeles International Airport because my flight from Los Angeles to Hawaii was delayed because of snow.
In Hawaii?
No, the plane was stuck in Chicago.
Oh, that sucks.
So we were waiting for the plane to get from Chicago to L.A., and we were sitting there, eating $12 hamburgers back when, nowadays they all cost $12.
Don't get me into that.
Hang on a
plane
second.
Being stuck in some other. Give me a second. I'm
doing okay. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good. Getting ready to go to bed. Bye, bye.
Okay, hang on. I'm sorry, guys. Jen's calling.
We got a few more minutes.
Yeah. All right. Well, you guys sleep good, okay?
Okay, I love you. I miss you.
Love you too. Miss you too.
Bye, bye.
Bye, bye.
Bye.
There we go.
Yay. And DC-10s, I've been in a bunch of them. DC-8s, like that one.
I remember when I worked on the 737 for so long.
That is for a plane that came out in like 64 or 65, and they're still making them. Of course, they're way different now than they were then.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, they are now. It's been in service a long ass time.
Yeah. And the engines started out these little bitty engines, and they get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yep.
I'm back.
Hey.
Hey, welcome back.
I hate flying.
I don't like it either.
There was one time I was leaving Denver to go back to Florida, and there was it was the airline that was booked. I think it was American that was hubbed in Dallas, and they were having a storm, so no pilots were available. And I didn't end up getting to Miami, my connection, until 11 at night, and the airport was closed.
What? How do you close an
there
airport?
until it was like 12 hours later. It was terrible. I've had so many of those. There was another time I was going home from work and ended up having the plane had a mechanical problem, and I had to stay in North Carolina overnight.
Yeah.
And I kept the overtime clock going.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
And that girl that plays Stacy in our films, I think she was in an airline that crashed and stuff. It was just like, she said everyone was throwing up. Could you imagine that? People throwing up everywhere and stuff?
yeah.
I'd be scared, but wait a minute, Timmy. You had a layover for 12 hours on a 737?
No.
Where was the airport closed?
It was closed in Dallas, and so there were no pilots. And I was trying to leave Denver, and there was nobody to fly the planes in Denver, kind of like Tony was talking about with the snow thing. So, Darren dropped me off at like 2 o'clock, 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Get this, and I didn't get home until probably 2, 3 in the afternoon the next day. If that gives you any perspective. Because when we got to the connection in Miami, the airport was. I didn't know airports closed, but it was
I didn't
closed. The
either.
Miami airport was closed.
So did they not let you out of the plane, or?
Oh, they let us out of the plane, but we were there was nothing to. You were in the airport and everything was closed. There were no outgoing flights. There were no restaurants. There was just nothing. It was just like being in a ghost
So they just
town.
expect you to sit in a seat for 12 damn hours.
That's what we did. We had to just sit there, and then it was almost like noon, and they were talking about that we might miss the next plane, and we were like, I was really close to this renting a car and driving home because it would have been probably quicker. And that's when I wrote in that Embraer the little Learjet thing.
Yeah.
That was the only kind of fun part of the trip was. And when we were going, that was a crazy trip because when we were going through Georgia on the outbound, got struck by lightning. I'd never had that happen before. It was the whole trip was weird. The
Yeah,
lightning
they
part was kinda
test
cool.
that. They test for lightning strikes to make sure that the plane can take
Boy,
it.
I didn't know what to think because I didn't know there was a storm. You know, we were just going, and all of a sudden, around, I thought, "Oh shit, we're gonna die!" And then the thunder banged, and I'm like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah.
Okay, it was just lightning. I thought the engines blew out and we were gonna floofy, which would have been cool too, but I wouldn't have had to deal with the being stuck in the Denver airport with all the satanic stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I remember
Hunt designed that stuff.
79. Two things happened at once. There was the DC-10 that did the barrel roll. I think it was at, what the fuck was it, Chicago, where one of the engines came clean off the wing because they were doing a screwed up maintenance procedure and they damaged the engine pylon. And so I was flying back home to Hawaii, and I had a ticket on some airline, and they all they had was the DC-10. The DC-10s were grounded. And so United had a huge strike that took months and months. They finally settled the strike and got back operational. So I was able to switch my ticket over to United. So there I am, DC-8, DC-860, the big long one, the extra long DC-8. And I think there were 16 passengers on board. I think there were more crew than passengers. One of the stews was like playing cards with a couple of passengers.
You got lucky. You probably got moved up to first class and shit.
No,
No?
I mean, it didn't really much matter because there was nobody on the plane, so I could stretch out and flip up a little armrest. But no, they didn't put us in first
free
class.
liquor and stuff.
No.
Because I liked those DC-8s, the long. I don't think I've ever ridden on one. I've been in a lot of DC-9s, but you know what? That reminded me. I've got a vivid memory of flying into Dallas or something in the late '80s,
Huh?
and there was a catastrophic crash that had just happened days before, and we were landing on the tarmac, in the tail section of the plane. The charred plane was still there on the. Either that's a real memory or it's got to be a real memory. Why would I remember something like that and fake? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that was the thing too in Hawaii. That 737 where the top of the fuselage blew off. That plane sat kind of just off the edge of the airport for a long time. I think they eventually just took it apart. But that must have been like disconcerting to be waiting for a plane and looking over and seeing, a convertible.
Yeah, well, like the airplane movie where they're watching the movie and see the test plane crashing.
Yeah.
That happened to me going to Australia. I don't think I'd experienced a plane before with the movie screen. That was when they had the big screens instead of the little TVs in the back of the seats like they do now. But I was just doing my own thing, and then not that putt. I looked up and saw a plane crashing on the screen.
Generally, they don't do that.
Yeah, it was. It was the Blast from the Past movie, and it was that plane that crashed into the house.
Oh, they probably
And that's
forgot
the first
about
thing
that
I saw
part.
when I looked up as a plane crashing.
Yeah.
I think I liked that movie. It was fun.
Oh, it was great fun. I loved that. I loved what was Chris Walken, right? That was the dad.
Yeah, Brendan Fraser was the kid.
Mm-hmm.
It was a fun movie. The only part that was weird is that he had a whole replica of that shelter that they lived to give his mom a house to live in afterwards, and I'm pretty sure she would have liked a different change of scenery.
Yeah.
That it was still, I guess it's a comedy, and that's kind of what you do in comedies.
Well, I think they did a bunch of stuff to avoid shocking the dad.
Oh, well, that makes more sense then.
Because I think it would have, if you told him, yeah, that was just a small fighter plane hit your house, you happened to be down at the bomb shelter, and there was no big deal.
Yeah.
He would have felt pretty damn stupid for living under there for 30 years.
I'm sure he did anyway.
I don't know. It was a weird
he
time.
He missed disco, and he missed punk,
Yeah.
and he missed Phil Collins and Fleetwood Mac, so it's not all bad.
Well, yeah, that's a good point.
How
But
was your
except for
dream?
missing
Buck?
punk.
Did you dream anything interesting?
When I was asleep,
Yeah.
We looked at your hat for quite a while there.
no, I wasn't dreaming. I was listening to you guys.
Ah, okay.
So I was just hearing what you were saying,
Ah, okay.
but I don't think any good dreams came out of it.
Ah,
I'm sorry about that,
What
guys.
did we say that interested you?
nothing.
you-
Nothing.
No, I mean, you're talking about planes, and
Yeah.
that reminded me of working on my 737s
Yeah.
and doing the ground school for those and
Huh?
all of that. And I didn't like the way the
artwork and stuff.
What's that? Yeah, artwork, animated artwork.
Oh, okay.
Or the pilots, had the giant simulators, and I would go
Right.
into those sometimes, and those were fun.
Oh, yeah.
I've actually got flight hours in simulators, but
Yeah.
before that, they would go to what they called the ground school. And that was like a mini simulator where it didn't move or anything, but they'd sit in a cockpit type thing. And we do the animations for everything. The screens would come up and they'd have the panels there or whatever. And the pilots would have to practice turning on the airplane, the APU, and all that kind of stuff, and doing all the checklists there in that little mini ground school. That's what I was doing, was programming those ground schools for them. And then once they qualified on that, with help of the other pilots, then they could move to the big simulators before they got to go into the 737s. But this was all when you would change an aircraft, from if you were flying a something, whatever, an A320.
Yeah.
That's not a good example, but you might do the 737 and then get promoted to the A320, because I did A320s too.
Yeah.
And so that's what they would do, and you guys were talking about that. And I was just thinking about when I worked at United, how we used to do that kind of stuff. And we'd go out and we'd help the pilots with the ground schools, because they had them kind of wasn't a classroom, but it was a big lab, where
Yeah.
all these different pilots had their different things. And we go down there and help them if something was going wrong, or find out if there was something going wrong and we had to fix our code or whatnot. But it was interesting. It was a very good coding environment. It wasn't a great programming environment, but imagine if you had a screen in front of you with all the dials and graphics, and behind that screen was a ton of code that operated those graphics. So we did both sides. I did a lot of graphics because I was good at it, because of my background, but I also did a lot of the coding for it too. You know what I mean? This is when they hit this switch, these other things got to happen and all that kind of stuff, going through the cycle of it. So when you guys were talking, I was just thinking, that's what I was thinking about, was when I worked at United Airlines and how fun that was, because we also got flight benefits. And back then, the aircrafts weren't as crowded. So if you wanted to fly somewhere, you could do it for free, but we'd always show up in a suit and tie, because if you were dressed like that, you had a good chance of getting in first class, which was pretty nice. Yeah. And if they had extra seats, and 9 times out of 10 you did, because it wasn't as crowded back then, as I said. And so that was it was fun. I liked that job a lot, but they ended up shutting down that part because it was all at Stapleton. They shut it down at Stapleton, and then I don't know what happened with DIA. They just moved the ground school somewhere else and all that kind of crap. But it was interesting. I liked it. It was a fun job.
Yeah.
And you got to work hand in hand with the pilots, which most of the pilots were actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
There used to be a joke that the pilots were all assholes, but all the ones I worked with were awesome. They were older guys, who had been in the Air Force and the Navy and all that kind of stuff. And
That's the way it used to be. Most airline pilots in the old days used to be ex-military.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, when I moved from United to McDonnell Douglas, and a bunch of us went from United to McDonnell Douglas. I had the same boss, I had the same crew guy that I worked with, and I had a couple good friends. One of them was named Tom Rush, who was a colonel, and he um, right about that time, Desert Storm was happening, and my wife Anna got all nervous, and she was with us one day, and she talked to Tom Rush, and she said, "Well, I'm afraid Mark's going to get drafted, and you have to go over there." And he looked at her. He goes, "No, Mark's not getting drafted. We need him here." And she goes, "Well, how can you be sure?" He goes, "I'm in charge of the draft in the Western region." So she goes, "No, don't worry. Mark's staying here."
I thought the draft stopped in like 1973.
Well, they were talking about bringing it back then because of the Gulf War and all that kind of stuff, and
just like they are nowadays.
Yeah,
but they wouldn't dare nowadays. Everybody would say bye, hi Canada.
Right, but I told her, she was like, "Well, if you do get drafted, I want to get pregnant before that, so I can have your kid and all that kind of thing." I'm like, "Well, I wasn't worried one way or the other. To be honest, I wasn't worried one way or the other. So if they draft me and send me out there, I'm fine, but I like working here too. But either way, it didn't bother me, But I did like my job there. It was a fun job, and that was the last really fun programming job I had, working with them, and it was because I'd come in the morning and I'd have a big stack of that connected green and white flip paper. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, the old computer printout paper. Yeah,
printout paper, and I'd have all my bugs listed on there that I needed to work on, and have my big pile of work, and I could go to work and get my work done, and didn't have none of this other bullshit, and it was no pressure real serious pressure to get it done. Sometimes if we had a problem in the flight school, we would have to get on it right away and do it. Yeah. But other than that, it was pretty damn fun job. The work was, I wouldn't say easy, but it was easy because I knew what I was doing.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? I could go through my printouts and just fix the bugs or add the features or whatever it took. And of
course, that's always a trap you fall into when you're doing a job. If you make it look easy, they don't think you're working.
Right. But that was kind of, that was, and then I left the company to go work for some smaller company, and that kind of sucked. But after I left, I found out they closed that particular flight school that I had been working in.
Yeah.
I don't know where they moved it or what they did, but it sucked. I felt bad for my friends that had to move on. They all I was working at Comcast at the time, and they all worked up the street at another place that was doing flight stuff. And they were at Comcast. I was using like C# programming and like more like real programming or whatever. At the place up the street, they were using Flash, and they're talking about working on the Flash stuff and all that time, and that place got closed down because Flash basically went out of favor pretty quickly. And I'm glad I didn't spend a whole lot of time learning Flash, because it was a waste of time. And that's but that's kind of what I was thinking about when I was sitting here, but I wasn't dreaming. I was just kind of like spinning all this in my head, with my experience with working on airplanes and flight schools and stuff like that, I really missed that United job. That was a good job.
Yeah.
But, even if I tried to stay there, I couldn't have, because they closed it down, that sucked. So, but it was fun. The flight benefits were great. I loved doing those. I would fly wherever I wanted to, and I would get my parents to fly if they wanted to go someplace, and I could give them my passes, and they could get first class passes. So my parents got to fly first class a few times, which was, they loved. They couldn't believe it that I could do that for them, and that was really nice.
Yeah. Timmy, I always wonder what's happening when your head turns sideways like that and your mouth is kind of hanging open.
I'm looking at my external monitor.
Ah, okay. I thought Face Rig was goofing up.
No, I'm just. I'm looking over here. I'm looking at my other monitor. I was looking at Judy's house that I made while I was listening to Putt. Kind
There
of
was
listening
that-
to Putt and looking at my slideshow.
Ah.
I ended up having a favorite plane for a while. It was the they called them duck drivers, the pilots, and I can't remember the name of the plane. It was I think a twin fuselage thing that was trying to think of the name of the damn thing, but it was pretty cool little plane. It was more of a recon plane, you know what I mean? And gosh, if I can remember the name of it, I'll let you know.
Mohawk?
No, it wasn't the Mohawk, I don't think. Maybe it was.
What was that one? The dim bulb? Not the dim bulb. It was it was made out of the Comet, but it was a big.
Oh, Nimrod.
Nimrod.
No, it wasn't an Nimrod.
Yeah, that's
They
British.
They made a movie about that particular plane that the duck drivers drove, and I can't remember the name of it. It was a current movie in the 80s/90s at the time, and I think like Daniel Glover was in it or something.
Oh, were you talking about Bat 2-1? The movie.
Yeah,
Movie Bat 2-1.
that's the one.
Yeah, that was a Cessna 02 Skymaster.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, with the push pull. It wouldn't do a double fuselage. It had a twin boom tail because it had the pusher in the back and there's a way to get a 2-engine plane without having. Normally, when you got a twin engine, you got one engine on each wing, and if one engine goes out, then you've got thrust on one side and none on the other, and it's hard to fly. Whereas on the Skymaster, if one engine goes out, it doesn't really affect the characteristics of the plane.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool plane. I really liked it. I didn't ever get work on it or anything or do anything with it, but I just would, I had a friend that flew one, and then we talk about them, and I thought this is pretty cool. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Yep. That's the kind of job I'd want if I was a pilot.
Yeah. I think I'd want to be a pilot. I'm just not interested in space and aerospace.
Well, I am to some extent, and if I was going to be a space pilot, it would depend on the ship. I mean,
I take that back. Actually, when I was going to church in the Mustang last Sunday, or maybe I was in the truck. I can't remember. But I remember starting to go over the bridge over the intercoastal and just pretending I was on an airplane. And
there you go.
you feel good. It's like, oh yeah, it just felt just like it, the thrust. And going up, and it was like, yeah, sometimes it's kind of neat. But I don't know if I've heard the planes pretty much fly themselves.
They do. Yeah, that's what Chuck Yeager said. That's why that when I went into the simulator for the first time with one of our senior pilots, I kept that in mind. Chuck Yeager said planes pretty much fly themselves. You just kind of occasionally point them where to go, and that's exactly what I did. He goes, "You're doing good." I said,
and they say that a landing is a controlled crash, and a crash is an uncontrolled landing.
basically, yeah.
Well, what I find funny is the British, they don't say landing; they say alighting.
Alighting?
Yeah, and so it's not a crash landing; it's a crash alighting. Try to say that with a straight face, but that's the British.
Crash alighting.
He's had a crash alighting.
So I was thinking with the film thing. So you guys think it's okay the direction we're going with the Tracy crashing, going off the cliff and stuff?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Why not?
I just don't want to lose people. I don't want to people watching this whole thing and just like, what the F at the end, Of course, it's not really the end yet.
That's the thing is you got to have that. We got that low point, and then you got it to gel. And as long as the action is like there's a flow to it. That's the only thing you got to. I'm not telling you anything you don't know.
It's got a flow to it.
Yeah.
Okay, I just didn't want people thinking it's taking a weird detour. Is all. So that's my main
No,
thing.
because I think you got elements of, you still have the MacGuffin in play. You got, there's still, okay, we're getting from A to B to C to D.
And
Yeah.
we've always known about her relationship with her boss,
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
and that's now just come to light that she finds out it's Terry's dad, and Terry
Yeah.
didn't know that he was her boss. I think it's
Spoiler
kind
alert.
of funny.
No, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
I think
I
that's
was telling Tony before you got here, but the transformation with her to T-Bird looks really good.
Yeah.
good.
It actually, I think, it upped the bar on Transformama, because normally I could never figure out how to make a person's eyes and mouth get to the side, get to the side of the mouth and become a car like that.
Yeah.
But I did it this time.
Well, good.
Usually I just kind of cut, show the eye, show the ear, and then, but this time I actually showed it happen. So, and it worked out really good.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
The funniest thing is just that scene where he's like blah 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 when they're arguing, and she grabs a wand from his hand to try to change her hair back. He's like, "Don't touch that wand. You're not qualified." And she's like, "Watch me." And she does it, and her hair turns back blonde again. She's like, "See," and she says, "See." She turns into the car. It's very dramatic, and then she's like, "This." The car's sitting there, and Rob's like kind of astonished, and Steve just walks up. I told you. It's really kind of funny. It's a funny kind of scene. Then we're back up into the tower again.
Okay.
But
All
it looks
right.
good. I was telling Tony that globe is the hardest part of this, that spinning globe.
Really?
Yeah, because to do a full revolution, it was 400 frames.
Yay.
So I've got to line up 400 frames and copy and paste, because you can't, in my Premiere, you can't like group something and do a mass edit to the group. You got to do frame by frame.
Ooch.
So I had to position everything frame by frame. Then I had to go back and make the translution 72% frame by frame.
Yeah.
And then I had to go put in a blur frame by frame. And then when I was done, I was watching the proof, and the globe changed because what I did is I did it to where the globe would totally circle around from point A all the way to point 8 again.
Uh-huh.
But what I didn't realize until I watched it, that the globe was at a different axis when it went back to point A.
Ooh.
So it's just been really arduous and terrible, that globe. It worked. It's working out. It's just good grief.
All right, you want to wrap?
It's just something to say that turning Tracy into a car and everything was much less of a task than just making the globe do a full rotation when
Yeah.
they're doing their dialogue.
So about time to wrap up?
I guess.
Yeah.
All right, let me get ready to push the button. Bye, folks. We'll see you probably on Transformama next week.
Yeah.
And
we'll
then
be on
after
Transformers.
that, we're going to have to see how it goes, because my job made a big change and I'm getting a lot more hours, but it's cut into my free time, man.
We'll still figure out a way.
Oh, yeah, we'll figure it out. All right, well, bye, folks. Say goodbye,
Bye,
Pud.
fuckers.
Bye.
People. Nice people.
Goodbye, Putt.